Deed Song's whereabouts too, again with those domineering words. The man insisted on standing up on his own using the tree trunk as support, but as he did so, that footing nearly slipped due to his precarious balance. The girl grew horrified at this sight and hurried over to help. However, Mo Xinyan didn't even get to touch the man's sleeve before a gush of force slammed into her chest and caused that body to fly outwards to crash into a bush. "I'm sorry." Mo Xinyan pulls herself from the dirt, those eyes aggrieved, and said, due to the maltreatment. "Did I do something wrong? Don't get angry, okay? I have no ill will. I just want to help you." The man's cold eyes swept towards Mo Xinyan's face and revealed a cruel and deadly smirk. "If there's a next time, then your hands will be coming off. Indeed, this girl doesn't have any ill will towards me, but I don't know why. I just can't stand others coming near me. Also, stay away from me." Mo Xinyan's expression stiffened before lowering her head in a grievance. The disgust in the man's eyes was so evident that it hurt her heart. Ignoring the annoyance behind himself, Deed Song slowly pushed forward despite the suffocating feeling inside his chest. He's growing more desperate by the day due to his sense of loss from not knowing. "Yinner, where are you? What do I have to do to meet you?" Mo Xinyan kept staring at that manly figure slowly drifting away from her view. She's not angry at him. There's no way she could grow such emotions. However, the tinge of sadness at being snapped at still pained her heart, tightly clenching that fist to give herself support. "Mo Xinyan, you can definitely do it. No one else found him, and only you did, which means fate is on your side. Besides, you already betrayed Shifu. There's no turning back on this road anymore, so you must make him yours." Gradually, Mo Xinyan's sad look transformed into a firm and decisive gaze, propelling her to chase after the man. Deed Song didn't miss the pursuit from the rear, of course, and turned to confront the girl. "If you follow me again, I'll break your leg and make it impossible for you to follow." He's always been cruel to the opposite sex, and this one would be no different. Mo Xinyan lightly pursed her lips. "I came to tell you that my Shifu knows that you are here. She intends to take advantage of your injury and forcibly take you back to become her husband." The man's expression did not change. However, the Demon King's eerie momentum made the girl feel tortured due to how oppressive it was. And Mo Xinyan looked up with her apparent obsessed gaze. "Your memory loss was done by my Shifu. She wants you to forget everything and live the rest of your lives together." The man's posture froze noticeably. Then it came, the storm that wanted to murder this world and its people living here. "Sir Deed Song, I know I shouldn't betray my Shifu and tell you all these things." The lady's eyes became filled with tears like she's doing it for the sake of others. "But I have no other choice. I can't watch idly by while you fall into my Shifu's scheme and spend the rest of your life with someone you don't love. I also wish for my Shifu to sober up from that dream. She needs to understand this is a mistake. Otherwise, I'm afraid she will fall deeper and deeper into this trench and be miserable for the rest of her life." Deed Song's whereabouts. 3. The implication was that she did this for the good of her Shifu and not some selfish intention. Deed Song did not move in light of that, only having his back facing the girl like she was insignificant. "Sir Deed Song." Mo Xinyan musters up the courage and inches forward with a butterfly in her stomach. "I can't persuade my Shifu, so I can only come to you. I don't want my Shifu to hurt anyone, but that's not going to slide." Right as Mo Xinyan was about to approach and get close enough to get a good look at the man's face, Deed Song's low grunt instantly blew the girl back with that invisible aura. "If I don't want to marry a woman, then no one in this world can force me. I will recover my memories, and nothing will get in my way." The man's back was overwhelmingly powerful, causing Mo Xinyan's heart to jump uncontrollably again. Such a proud man. Who in this world can resist? The girl's gaze fell into a daze, the love-struck heart in those eyes growing continuously without blinking. "Sir Deed Song, your injury should not have recovered yet. Let me stay by your side to tend to them." She bowed her head to act all cute and shy, so he wouldn't feel disgusted. Yet, the Demon King didn't even turn around to meet her gaze and only huffed in annoyance. Did you not hear me? Do not come near me. If you take another step, I won't mind removing you from this world. I will only have one woman in my life, and that is Yenner. Moxan Yan's body froze, that expression pained and scared due to the murderous, killing intent in the man's voice. This man really intends to kill me if I do. Unable to hold back the inner panic, Moxan Yan timidly took several steps back to put some distance. Sir Deed Song, you misunderstood me. I have no other meaning aside from helping you. My Shifu is the one who hurt you. That's why I want to make amends for her by taking care of you. Scram! The man didn't bite one bit and shot out another roar that created a shockwave. PFFFF. Moxin Yin didn't feel any physical attack coming at her, but the mental damage was immense. She threw up blood and nearly blacked out in that second. For a while, tears wouldn't stop flowing out of those eyes. After coming back to her senses, Moxin Yin realized she'd been ditched in the background like some minor character. In all her life, when has anyone treated her this way? Those men only looked at her with lust and went to their fleet. Never had the male sex ignored her so thoroughly. No, I can't just give up like this. Moxin Yin sobbed and forced herself to calm down. He is so amazing. It's no wonder Shifu would be fascinated by him. I need to do better if I ever want to have him for myself. He will definitely be impressed by me. Deed Song's whereabout for if this man took the initiative to marry me. Not even Shifu can do a thing to me then. Moxin Yan's face gradually became firmer with a strange light in those eyes. Above the valley's path, the man's figure stopped with his hand clutching the heart tightly again, thus causing him to wrinkle that brow. In my current state, it's unlikely I will be able to fight those people. First, I need to leave this place and recover in solitude. Then I will come back and go over their debt. A touch of cold flame burned within the man's gaze, revealing the inherent cruel nature he had from within towards those who wronged him. Whoever it is, the one who caused my memory loss will pay. Those people, they will all be damned. The Demon King taps his foot and flew into the air, disappearing from the valley altogether with that thought in mind. It's been several days since the people from the Monarch Manor arrived at this area in search of Deed Song. Despite their efforts and scorch earth tactic, they found no trace of the man. Therefore, Monarch Willow wasn't faring so well, which could be told by the fierce storm in those eyes. However, in front of so many people, Willow could not lash out without ruining her image. We have searched all the places in the valley and still couldn't locate his whereabouts. It's useless to continue like this, so we're returning to the manor. Monarch, Xiao Yun the maid took 2 steps forward and spoke in a respectful voice. I suspect we disturbed him by bringing so many people along. That man likely bypassed us and ran away. Or perhaps there's a leak on our side, causing him to be on alert. Leak? Monarch Willow's eyes were brutal. We will talk about that once we're back home. Yes, Monarch. They've been searching high and low for several days already and came out with nothing. It's within reason to depart after wasting so much time and energy. Likewise, Baiyin had also been trailing this group from the rear. When she saw they were leaving, she too had no reason to stay, since there was no sign of Deed Song anywhere. Searching alone would be far worse than waiting in secret for more news. Inside the inn, Emoli Shan rushed out like usual today, searching for his companion, when he almost bumped into the very woman head-on. Surprised and in glee, the man with that baby face threw himself at her, to only fail miserably. Then, after grabbing air and dropping on his face, he looks up with a sad expression. Yin Yin, where have you been these days? I've been so scared when I couldn't find you. Looking at Emoli Shan's unpretentious worrying, Baiyin slightly hung her head in apology. I went to follow those people from the Monarch Manor. I was afraid you would expose us to the target, so I didn't take you with me. Yin Yin, Emoli Shan sounded hurt. Next time if you want to leave then, just tell me first otherwise. Otherwise I will think you got kidnapped. By then, I won't be able to control myself and turn the entire domain upside down to look for you. Deed Song's whereabout, 5. Baiyin was shocked by the sudden confession from the young lad. She didn't think her existence would mean so much to him. Making a complicated expression, she sighs and accepts the request. Next time I'll tell you in advance. Emily Shan finally smiled like the warming sun. Then Yin Yin, have you found Deetsong yet? Bai Yan's body stiffened upon hearing this, then slowly closing her eyes in sadness. Deetsong is no longer at that place, but I believe that we will be able to meet each other soon. Monarch Manor. Monarch Willow entered her estate in quick strides while greeting everyone she came across. However, the lady didn't forget to order her maid to do something important. Go call my student Xian over. Yes, my liege. The maid respectfully complied and withdrew from the entourage. Willow didn't dally around and promptly entered her study. Brushing the dust off from her dress, she took a seat at the desk and pored over the possible reasons for the failure. A few minutes later, Immo Xian had entered following the lead of the maid. Her attitude was timid and gentle, totally different from her usual behavior in front of those serving her. Shifu, is there anything you need of me? Xian, Willow narrowed her eyes in at this girl and eyed her up and down. During the past few days, were you in the estate the entire time? Immo Xian was stunned before meeting her teacher's gaze for a split second. The surprise in those eyes didn't appear fake, so it gave off the impression that she didn't understand the reason for the question. Shifu, I've been training in the back mountain the entire time. What's wrong? Did something happen? Before she left, the girl had told some of the maids she would be retreating to her private quarters for cultivation. It's an excellent way to cover her hides from the monarch if asked later on like this. Willow's voice was still cold to the bone. Really? You really haven't left? Shifu, I really don't understand what you mean. I've been practicing the new spell you taught me before, so I ignored what's happening outside. If it weren't for this maid calling for me, I would have continued to stay at the back mountain. Due to the lack of trust, Immo Xian sounded miserable in her voice now. I have always listened to you, Shifu. If you say to stay, then I will stay. If you tell me to go, then I will go. That's not a lie from a girl. In Willow's memory, this student of hers had always followed the orders to the teeth, never disobeying or straying from the initial intent. Maybe it really wasn't her doing it? Shifu, can you tell me what's going on first? I'm getting nervous by the tone you're using. Immo Xian tightly pursed her lips like a wrong child accused of something they didn't do. Willow's expression gradually softened up while her tone didn't seem as cold anymore. It's nothing, just that we weren't able to locate him when we went to that valley. I suspect someone had leaked the news to him. At that moment, Immo Xian's heart jolted in a panic that left her hands clenching. So, Shifu believes I am the one who leaked the news? A bitter smile appeared on that delicate face. I have followed Shifu for many years. How can I ever betray you, Shifu? Besides, what good will it do me by leaking that information? I know Shifu regards me as your own daughter. That's why I will never do such a thing like destroying your happiness. Deetsong's were about 6. Hearing this from Immo Xian's mouth, Willow's indifference completely disappeared. Xian, I am not interrogating you, but this matter is very important. I don't want my hands forced. You are my only disciple in this world. I do not want to see you betraying me for the sake of a man. Willow's tone became harsh again at the end. If you let me know that one day you betrayed me, I will definitely cut you to pieces. Immo Xian's heart trembled a little, for she understood her Shifu wasn't joking around. Okay, you can go down now. I'm sure you are not involved with this problem. Willow did not give Immo Xian another chance to speak and waved her off in a dismissal. Yes, Shifu. Oh, Xian bows and turns away with pursed lips. Shifu, you have a good rest. I will come see you later. After getting outside and out of view, Immo Xian stopped and clenched her fist until the nails had pierced the palm. She's so frustrated that the girl's almost unable to breathe. Shifu, I'm sorry. I initially thought I would obey you for the rest of my life, but after meeting him, I can no longer do that. I know you treat me very well, but love is blind, and I have already turned my back on you. She closed her eyes gently for a long while, using this brief moment to gather her breath for the consequences of her own actions. Meanwhile, back over in the study room, Xiao Yin the maid stood quietly beside the monarch. Monarch, do you really believe what the missus said there? Willow made a faint smile before replying. I understand your meaning, but I know my disciple better than anyone. She doesn't dare to betray me. Moreover, I'm the one who gave her everything. If she does betray, the fate awaiting her would be far worse than simple death. So, I hope she doesn't go down that path. Otherwise, I won't spare her even if she did stay with me for so many years." After hearing that, Xiaoyan lowered her head after getting out of line. "I understand. I won't pry on this subject any further. But mistress, what method are we going to use to find him this time? It's too time-consuming for us to look for him, and he's bound to escape our grasp if he catches any wind like this time." Willow's lip curved into a smirk. "So, I have the better idea of luring him to us instead. Let him take the initiative instead." "Initiative?" Xiaoyan got surprised. "Monarch, that... Just say a woman came barged into the Monarch Manor with a horde of demon beasts. She's called Yinner and the Queen of all demons, and that she's his woman. Ditsong will come to us once he hears of this rumor. Even if he doesn't believe it, he won't give up on this opportunity, especially if the woman is in danger. As soon as Ditsong appears, I will personally subdue him again." "Yes, Monarch." The maid bowed and withdrew herself from the study. In the woods, a group of adventurers was resting around a clearing when they began to converse. "Have you heard? The monarch's husband, the man named Ditsong, had a lover, and the lover raided the Monarch Manor with a horde of demonic beasts. They say she called herself Yinner, Queen of Demons. It's unbelievable that even the woman's name is similar to Miss Xian Yan's. I don't see how she deserves such a good name." Ditsong's appears one. She probably thinks that if she takes on the Yinner word in her name, then her fate will turn a fortune. Miss Xianyan must have done countless good deeds in her previous life to become the monarch's disciple. Talk about ridiculous. How can a person think like that? Someone that steals another's husband actually wants the same fortune as someone far above their own standing. Talk about wishful thinking. There are so many men in this world. Why must that husband stealer settle on another person's husband? Worse is she's pompous enough to hit up the Monarch Manor and make a scene. I know, right? Last I heard, there's a huge number of people heading to the monarch's estate, probably wanting to meet such a brazen woman. Hey, why don't we also head over and see if there's drama? Although we don't know where the Monarch Manor is, I bet we can find it by following the crowd." One of them proposed. There's a beam shining in everyone's eye over the idea because they also wanted to see the drama unfold. However, before any of them could take action and leave, a fierce wind roared over and blew them to the ground. "Who is it?" the burly-bearded adventurer yelled after pulling himself together after the mess. Welcoming their sight was a daunting man of silver hair, dressed in a purplish robe, standing there. That face gobsmacked them. You are..." A young man next to their leader gawked those eyes out due to how stunning the face was. "You are the monarch's husband?" As far as the Hell Domain was concerned, everyone had already memorized the man's appearance, so they immediately recognized who Ditsong was. They're all speechless at their own fortune. "Repeat what you just said to me." Ditsong's tone was slightly cold and arrogant, but his aura was enough to choke their throats if they didn't comply. "Say it now." Seeing that these people did not answer his demand, the man's eyes grew harsher as he drew that blade to threaten them at the neck. It's a warning telling the adventurers that their heads are now on the line if they don't comply. "I'll say," the youngest adventurer gulped and spoke with panic. "It's something we overheard earlier. They say a woman barged into the Monarch Manor and demanded your whereabouts, saying she's the Demon Queen and your woman. Her name is similar to Miss Xian Yin. What was it? Yinner, right? It's Yinner." The Demon King's robe fluttered against the wind he himself created after hearing the name, causing his whole existence to grow more oppressive. "If there is any more detail, I want to hear it." The panic in the young adventurer's face grew more apparent after that order. Looking to his peers for help, the young man anxiously sought support but found none. They're all too afraid to be the ire of this Demon King. Gulping, she probably thinks that if she takes on the name Yinner, then her fate will be the same as Miss Xian Yin. That way she can rob the monarch and her disciple of their fortune. When a young man's mouth finished that theory, Ditsong's momentum instantly surged, causing both the sky and air to thicken and rumble. PFFF. Suddenly feeling a pain in his mouth, The young adventurer spurted out a mouthful of blood without understanding why until he saw a piece of his tongue lying there on the ground. This is the price for speaking nonsense. Deetsong snaps with ice in his voice. Deetsong's appears too. Deetsong's cold eyes swept across these adventurers. Hell Domain? Monarch? She thought I would marry her just because she caused me to lose my memory? Even if they're gone, I will never forget Yenner, and I will never love another woman aside from my wife, who went looking for me. The young man's mouth made a whimpering sound as he attempted to cry, but the sentence from the perpetrator caused him to freeze and look up in shock. Likewise, the rest of the party also made a stunned appearance due to what they overheard. The monarch harmed this man and caused him to lose his memory? And the woman who went to the monarch manor is this man's wife? No way. It's absolutely impossible. How could such an arrogant man cause the monarch to do such a despicable thing? Deetsong ignored these people and their commotional faces. Instead, his thought had already shifted to the impending future of reunion. Yenner, is it you? The Demon King's figure gradually disappeared under the whistling breeze, thus giving the adventurers time to come back to their senses. What do we do now? The young female adventurer started sobbing after taking another look at her companion's bleed mouth. Then trembling all over, thank goodness I didn't say anything just now. Otherwise, the one to lose their tongue would be me. The burly leader frowns after taking a look at the youngest member of their party. We're taking him back first to find a healer. He will need tending to with that tongue of his. But what about the drama at the Monarch Manor? Aren't we going to see it? The female raised her face and asked, You still want to head there after what we heard? You need to get your head checked. Did you not feel the man's strength just now? It's immense. If a fight does break out, I highly doubt the likes of us would even survive the brawl. What's more, the burly leader sighed and shook his head helplessly. All of you listen up. Do not ever repeat what we just heard to anyone. If my guesses are right, our lives are on the line if others find out the truth. Unless any of you want to die, keep that mouth shut and forget what we heard today. That man cut off his newest member's tongue after a simple sentence. It doesn't take much to imagine what he would do if rumors start spreading because of their party. There's no way that person wouldn't return and finish the job. It's his intuition speaking after spending so many years as an adventurer. What's more, the information about the monarch was blasphemous. If others hear their story, there will be those in favor of the monarch coming to demand justice. It's nothing but trouble. Inside the inn, Bayan had just pushed open the door to her room when she bumped into Mo Li Shang. Yin, I just heard a message that may be useful to you in locating Deetsong. The baby-faced youngster said with a serious voice. Bayan raised an eyebrow. What news? I just heard someone say there's a woman who barged into the Monarch Manor to find Deetsong. They also claim a horde of demon beasts accompanied the lady, that her name is Yenner and the Demon Queen. Mo Li Shang got all angry and waved his fist around in the air like he was outraged. How did those people know about your existence? I bet they're trying to lure Deetsong over there by using this rumor. Deetsong's appears 3. Bayan was silent. If even Mo Li Shang could see through their plan, then there's no way the Demon Queen herself couldn't do the same. It's obviously a trap. Deetsong didn't know I'd come here. Why would they think to use me as bait? Bai Yin caressed her chin in thought, those brows furrowing up due to the question. Deetsong didn't know that Suzaku had told her about this. Therefore, it's impossible to tell from his end. Yin, should we be heading over there then? Mo Li Shang raised his head and asked this without blinking. He's awaiting her decision, even if the decision meant walking into the thick of the fire. Of course we're going. Why wouldn't we? Bai Yin sneered with a snickering snarl. But we're disguising ourselves as ordinary people instead. We don't want to reveal our identity just yet. Getting surprised in the face. Mo Li Shang spent a good second to contemplate her intent before replying. Yin, I've been wandering around the endless forest lately and figured out the general direction of the Monarch Manor here. It's not completely accurate, but if you want to go through with this, then I can lead the way. Those gathered crowds will be good cover for us as well. In the Hell Realm, not everyone knows the location of the Monarch Manor. If they want to head over then, they must seek a guide. All right, we'll go with that then. In a bit, I'll begin spreading the word around, and make this event as big as we can." Bai Yin narrowed her eyes slightly, revealing the bottomless frost brewing from within at her husband being schemed against. She's a woman and a wife. There's no way she's not mad at what's done to Di Song. The plan was good, but this time around Bai Yin and Mo Li Shang didn't even need to act. The Monarch Manor's people had already beat them to the punch when they acted. By the next day, just about everyone with a name had been invited to this event. At this moment, the trees that enveloped the Monarch Manor scattered aside, as if they were under command, thus revealing the ancient and dignified estate representing the greatest power in these lands. At the same time, 2 rows of maids stood side by side at the main entrance, their faces solemn and expressionless, as if they were undisturbed by the noisy crowds outside. As planned, Bai Yin was hidden among these people while she searched the crowd for traces of her husband. However, there were no signs of him at all despite her efforts. Yin, will he really come? There was still some concern in Mo Li Shang's eye. He scanned the crowd around himself. Bai Yin gently pursed her lips. "Regardless, we are already here, so there's no way I'm giving this chance up." Squeal. The sound of the manor's main gate swings open and catches the audience's attention. Di Song appears for "Take this Dan pill." Bai Yin casually takes out a bottle and hands the pill over. "What is this?" Mo Li Shang asks. "Hiddenness Dan pill. It can help you hide your energy signature so others can't feel your presence." A few days back, Bai Yin had used this exact pill to help her tail Willow and her entourage from the rear. Without this, the monarch would have long detected her presence and attacked. Of course, it's not perfect by any means. If the Demon Queen had gotten too close that day, it would have still given her away. Yin, why would I need to take one of these?" Mo Li Shang made a puzzled face and asked curiously, showing a shallow smile. "If Di Song doesn't come later, then I intend to do something before leaving. I'm not going to let them off the hook for going after my husband. Otherwise, we would have come on this trip in vain. Her man could only belong to her in this life. There's no space for others to squish into this world of theirs, nor would she allow such an event." Okay. When Mo Li Shang heard this, he took the pill and readily swallowed it in one gulp. Exactly at the same time this occurred, a maid dressed in purple had come out of the estate, her brow furrowing in displeasure due to the immense numbers at the property. "Since you are all here as guests, then come in. Also, the woman who came to make trouble is apprehended by the monarch already." When the crowd heard this, they were shocked. The arrogant woman who rushed to the monarch's home is caught already? Che, now I can't wait to see this woman who likes to steal others' husband. Ha! I can't wait as well. Who can compare with the monarch in this domain? I bet that woman doesn't even have the qualification to lick the monarch's shoes. Let's go. I bet the man will also appear soon since the woman is caught. At that time, we will need to give our support to the monarch. Everyone laughed after that comment and walked inside the Monarch Manor. Something's not right. Bai Yin followed the audience and mixed in perfectly with the bunch, but her intuition told her something was off about all this. The monarch shouldn't have needed to find a woman to impersonate me if it is only for the sake of a lie. Unless, there's only one possibility. Di Song lost his memory. Otherwise, it would be impossible for a husband not to know their own wife. Thinking of this, Bai Yin's heart fell into a panic that caused her hands to clench into a ball. If this monarch dares to hurt Di Song, then I will never spare her. The anger swirled from underneath those eyes, causing that enchanting face to be shrouded in frost. Di Song's appears 5. Under the afternoon sun, the door to the Monarch Manor's halls was finally swung open for the public after so many years of closure. Coming out first was the person they'd all been waiting to see. Donning her usual white dress of pristine cleanliness, she bestows the crowd with her glowing entrance. She's genuinely gorgeous under the numerous gazes coming her way, which empowered that pride and graceful stride. I believe there's no need for me to explain why I invited everyone here. Monarch Willow lightly smirks as she announces, "Today is my big day. I hope everyone will bless me with happiness and share in the celebration I prepared." Amid the celebratory scene, Many young men were instead weeping inside and unwilling to accept this arrangement. However, such a powerful female was undoubtedly beyond their reach, no matter the desire. Monarch, we have heard that a woman has come to your estate and riled up trouble. Is this true? Yes. Willow nods and confirms the rumor to her subjects. That woman is my husband's mistress. She tricked my husband into leaving me for a while. I originally didn't want to make a scene about this matter and wanted to settle this quietly behind closed doors, but that woman had the nerve to barge into my home and demand things from me. I had no choice but to arrest her for now. My husband's attitude will decide her punishment after he returns today. Willow seemed to have made up the mind that Deetsong would marry her for sure today, so she didn't even think about alternatives of what's possible. Guards, bring the woman up. Yes, Monarch. The closest maid complied and withdrew to carry out the order. Two attendants eventually rolled out a young girl, strapped to a pillar with chains, and due to the long strands of side hair covering most of that face, no one could adequately make out the contour of this individual. Nevertheless, the miserable and pitiful appearance was plain as day to see. The girl had suffered some mistreatment before being brought to the public eye. So, that's the type of woman who stole the monarch's husband? Che, is he blind or something? Our monarch is so prestigious and powerful. What's so good about that frail-looking harlot? Nothing but skin and bones. She doesn't deserve to even lick the monarch's shoes. You can't say it like that. Perhaps the monarch's husband feels inferior to his wife and needs room to vent. A white lotus like that is perfect if he's feeling insecure. But I get what you mean. There's no better woman under the heavens than the monarch. Bai Yin quietly listened to everything these people were discussing and didn't flinch in the slightest. Instead, her sight remains firmly on the woman strapped to the pillar. Snarling in her grin after getting most of the conversation, this monarch is very good at setting herself up in the limelight. Isn't that so? Not only did this Willow find a woman who was the polar opposite of herself, she also set up the perfect scenario to convince the populace that she's the victim in a triangle relationship. Yin Yin, Mo Li Shang turns to look over to the demon queen. Aren't you angry that she found another woman to impersonate you? Moreover, she's fanning the crowd to insult you. Angry? Why should I be angry? Bai Yin lightly chuckles. She can go ahead and impersonate me all she likes. Deetsong isn't blind. Besides, they're scolding that woman over there and not me. Why should I be angry about what others want to do? Deetsong's appears 6. There was a slight surprise in Mo Li Shan's face after hearing the demon queen's thought. Giving a nod once he thought it through, Guy quickly understand how petty and silly he was behaving. Monarch, I was wrong. Please let me go. Oh. The chained woman whimpers, sounding all pitiful. I will never dare oppose you again, nor would I dare use the demon queen identity. Please have mercy. Despite the waterfall of tears from the sobbing girl, not a single person from the crowd showed pity or mercy in their chatter. Now you know it's wrong? Huh. What happened to the arrogance from before? If this woman is a little tougher, then maybe I will respect her, but I didn't expect her to be so useless. What kind of demon queen is this? Such a coward. She's not even worth a single strand of hair on our monarch. I really don't understand what the husband sees in this woman. He must be truly blind. Of the harshest would be the maid in charge of bringing the prisoner out, which roused Bai Yan's ire with a menacing glare. She could tolerate someone impersonating herself and someone portraying her as unsightly, but she would never allow anyone to question Deetsong. The maid seems to have felt the chilling glare from the back for some reason. Rubbing the nape of her neck out of reflex, she swings around to search for the oddity and finds nothing. Strange. Why does it feel like someone was glaring at me viciously from behind? Did I imagine it? Enough. Monarch Willow frowns impatiently and harshly snaps at the fake. You don't need to say anything now. If you utter another word, then don't blame me for being ruthless. The chained girl acted all scared and frightened that it trembled, going silent as orchestrated for this show. Pleased inside over how well it's going, Willow returns her focus back to the crowd and looks up. She's troubled by the fact that the missing lead actor remains missing in this show. Why is Deetsong not coming yet? Did the plan fail? Will he really disregard the safety of the person in his heart? That can't be. From my memory of him, he's not that type of man. Not far away inside the courtyard, Imo Exin Yin had been eyeing the impostor with anger and jealousy. This woman, is she the Yenner from Deetsong's mouth? Such a cowardly and useless person. How could Deetsong ever like her? But this person was taken down by Shifu personally. There's no way it's some random person, right? At this moment, Imo Exinyan didn't know that her Shifu had begun to guard against her. Therefore, the plan for today's event was carried out in secret and hidden away from the lady. I hope Sir Deetsong won't come. Imo Xin Yin clenched her fist deadly. In her viewpoint, a man would only come despite all the dangers if they truly loved someone. Without showing, it would reaffirm her decision to betray the monarch. On the contrary, if Deetsong does come, it would make her extraordinarily sour and jealous inside. It's during this moment, when Imo Xin was silently praying in her heart that the Demon King wouldn't come, the dazzling and eye-catching figure makes his entrance. The man was as magnificent as ever, stunning even, and those eyes were absolutely peerless, like a king standing on his throne peering down at the subjects. Meeting one, he's coming. This man is coming. He will disregard such danger for a cowardly woman? Imo Xin Yin clench her lips due to the piercing pain in her heart. It's so unbearable that it's killing her inside. Nevertheless, the girl didn't dare to show this emotion. Otherwise, it would surely rouse the ire of her Shifu. By then, the one to die would be herself. You've come. Under the sky, Monarch Willow's sight fell upon the brilliant figure of the man whom she's been vying for throughout the millenniums. I knew you would come. His face is still so handsome and breathtaking. Where is Yenner? Deetsong's voice was cold and unkind. Are you going to only ask about her after coming all this way? Willow's gaze was full of sorrow and sadness. Before you were injured, so I didn't want to rush things, but I see you've recuperated. Let's get married today. All right, we still haven't spent the night together yet, so I've prepared a fine bedchamber for us. Deetsong's eyes were so intensely cold that it was piercing. Where is Yenner? I will only ask you one last time. Willow's footsteps did not stop and continued like she didn't hear his words. Shall we first commence the marriage ceremony inside the ancestral hall? If you like, I can also let her be your concubine if you insist. Scram! Deetsong's voice roared thunderously, causing the woman's ear to rumble. First, I don't like having any woman being too close to me. Second, I will only love Yenner in this life. Third, aside from her, I will never marry another female. I have never met you before. SZZZZ. Everyone that heard this literally gasped in horror. Then turning to their deity-level figure for her reaction, they immediately saw the pale and white complexion in Willow's face. Such a remarkable woman as the monarch is being trampled on by this scum. How dare he do this to her? How can he be so cruel and heartless? Finally stopping in her steps, Willow's expression faltered as she looked around. It's only then that she noticed the shocked, dull looks from the crowd, which actually made the woman burst out laughing until tears started rolling. Do you know why I called so many people here today? I want the world to bless us in our union, and I want to experience the joy of being congratulated by everyone. That's why I made the exception of allowing them all to come here. She had thought the threat would be enough for a compromise from this man. However, the lady forgot who Deetsong was after many years of being isolated in this domain. There's no way the Demon King would compromise. If she was foolish enough to think otherwise. All for what? For a sense of comfort that she's finally able to get support after being preached and mocked? Monarch, there's no reason for you to take such a scum. Why are you so obsessed with someone like this? Just look at the gaze he's making. He only has that useless white lotus in his eye. Such a blind man doesn't deserve you. Meeting, too. Deetsong, are you so blind that you can't perceive others? The little white lotus you like is right before your very eyes now. Don't go venting your fury at the monarch, because you can't find your one true love. Such a good woman like the monarch doesn't deserve such rebuke from scum like you. Obviously, Deetsong's language had provoked the ire of the public, especially the males who were eager to rush over and rip him from limb to limb. Ignoring the murderous gazes coming his way, Deetsong's momentum abruptly turned dark and heavy as he observed the chain girl at the pole, which caused the latter to release the waterfall of tears from the sobbing eyes. "My love, I am your Yenner. Quickly get me out of this place, will this which really wants to murder me." Deetsong didn't respond to those pleas, only staring down at the female with his expressionless face like he was thinking about something. This directly roused another series of cries from the prisoner. "Did you forget? You promised to whisk me away from this hell domain and spend the rest of our lives together. You said you will forever love me for the rest of your life. So hurry and take me away, okay?" That finally made the Demon King move as his robe flapped against the breeze. In reality, Monarch Willow had a very complicated feeling about the scenario she herself orchestrated. However, that emotion got instantly squashed once Deetsong got close enough to reach out with his hand. Instead of pacifying the chained prisoner, the Demon King discharged a blast and completely blew both the girl and pole away in a cannonball fashion. Naturally, a stunned silence veiled over the entire yard and the occupants currently standing inside it. Of the most dumbfounded had to be Mo-Xin Yin, who expected the worst there. But one thing's clear, though. No one knew why Deetsong did this and what he meant by it. Isn't he here for this white lotus flower? Why did he injure her with his own hands? Is this his way of repenting before the monarch to show his resolve? In contrast to the bewilderment and shock of the onlookers, Willow's complexion had gotten deathly pale, with panic beaming out of those eyes. She couldn't even utter a single word and only stammered an incoherent mess. "You think that if you find a woman to impersonate her, I wouldn't know she's not Yenner?" Deetsong's menacing gaze locked onto the monarch, who stumbled back a step under that intensity. "Although I can't remember her looks, but I will never mistake her for someone else. She is not Yenner, and she doesn't deserve to go by that name." Willow's face almost bled tears of blood after that statement. Why? He had clearly lost his memory, yet he's still able to determine it's not her. "Deetsong," Willow starts cackling softly. "If it was before, I might not have been your opponent. But you seem to have forgotten that your injuries have not recovered yet. You cannot beat me. Today, even if you don't want to, you must marry me and enter the bedroom." Since he disagreed, she won't mind using rough tactics and forcing the issue. Meeting 3. Who told her she's loved him for so many years? In this life, if she doesn't marry him, then Willow's doomed to never escape this curse. Deetsong's eyes coldly swept through the entire front yard with that bloodthirsty smirk. "Since I can come here, then I can leave here as well. No one in this world can stop me." In that instant, the world itself seems to freeze overdue to the man's statement. In fact, it's so quiet that even a fly's flapping could be heard in their ears, however. It's precisely during this stalemate that a familiar voice echoed over from the rear and turned the Demon King into the frozen popsicle. Deetsong, yelling out, was none other than Bai Yin in her iconic red dress. She's standing not far away and grinning from ear to ear after witnessing the love profession from her husband and the strong bond they shared at the soul level. "I've come to see you." Whistling against the wind, both husband and wife canceled out the surroundings and transported their minds to a different dimension. She has him, and he has her, only they exist in this world. In contrast to the rosy scene between the two, Willow's face had changed dramatically already. If she remembers correctly, that woman that she locked eyes with outside the inn was this exact person. Is she? No, no way. That woman couldn't be in this place. Absolutely not. This is the Hell Domain. Even though there are many humans here, but those are the original denizens of these lands until before I ripped it from the main world. It's impossible for outside humans to come in. Yenner. Deetsong whispers this name out like a song to his soul. "I finally found you." The expressions of the crowd had transformed from the dazed look to a shocked look after that name. They looked stared over to Bai Yin, then to the injured imposter on the ground. That woman in red is Yenna? Then what about the woman caught by the monarch? Who is she then? Even if they want to believe in their monarch, but the evidence was clear as day. A man couldn't possibly mistake the woman they like, right? Willow's lips trembled slightly as her face loses all color at the gossiping whispers among the audience. Stumbling a few steps back, her eyes fell into despair while shaking that head. This woman really is her. She came to the Hell Domain and once again succeeded in snatching Di Song from my side. In the afternoon sun, Bai Yin suddenly threw herself into Di Song's arm, letting her head leaning in against the man's chest for warmth. I'm glad you're fine. No one knows how flustered and frightened Bai Yan's heart was when she felt the contract being broken. She was afraid that she would never see him again in her life. Fortunately, he's safe and sound. Now she could be at peace. Di Song embraced the woman in his arms as he relished in her scent. There's so much gentleness in his faintly closed eyes that it's melting to the female populace. Meeting for, you think you'll be able to leave safely today after coming here? Willow's eyes were filled with anger to the point it's ready to slash apart Bai Yan's face. And you snatched away my man over and over again. Do you think I'm going to let you go? Bai Yan's smiling eyes turned to the female monarch. Your man? Ho ho, Willow laughed sarcastically. Yes, he is my husband. The people of the world can attest to that, and of how you shamelessly snatched him away from me. But you've forgotten, others' husband cannot be stolen so easily. Her words instantly dispersed the confusion hovering over the field and sent them all back to their sense. No matter what, Willow was the goddess in their minds. It's only natural that they would believe her words over some outsider. As such, the anger of the crowd were now shifted towards Bai Yin. Di Song. Bai Yin pulled on his sleeve and signaled him not to say anything. Then looking down at the impostor collapsed on the ground, she pricks her eyebrow. So in order to lure Di Song to come out, you found a woman to impersonate me? Willow face got all white and panicky. What happened today was too unexpected for her, so she didn't come up with a story ahead of time. In her haste, the monarch swept her angry gaze over to the young impostor and coldly spoke. Speak. Why did you pretend to be someone else and make trouble in my manor? There's no way the woman could admit this was all her doing and catching a ghost. The impostor flew into a shock and got into a prostrating position, crying tears of agony. Monarch, I know my fault. I am in the wrong. Then turning to Di Song, the impostor points up to the Demon King. I only saw this man once, and then I happened to overheard he's lost his memory. That's why I try to pretend to be his wife. I thought it would make him believe me if I do that. All her family was in the hands of the monarch, so she had no choice but to make this lie. It's a bad outcome, no matter her choice. At the very least, she wants to save her family members by sacrificing herself. Willow sneered. I didn't expect you to be so bold to dare deceive me and my subordinates. I will personally execute you today for that transgression. Swish! Flicking the palm of her hand, Willow blasts out a dark blast of air at the girl's forehead. First shuddering from the impact penetrating her skull, the impostor widens her eyes as the pupils dilated inward until the vision blurred into darkness. Little by little, the maiden's body falls and goes limp, thus ending the life that was hers once and for all. In the domain, death was a common occurrence. A young girl's death was nothing and wouldn't attract any attention or sympathy. Instead, the happiness of a monarch was what happened to these people after all. If the death was the norm, then why should they care? Bai Yin did not stop Willow's behavior. Rather, she was smirking derisively at the limp corpse on the ground like she's finding it amusing that someone would use such a poor charade to hide their guilt. Turning back to her husband after there's nothing more to see. Something's wrong with your memory? Di Song nodded slowly and made an apologetic look with his eyes. I'm sorry, Yenner. I can't think of anything. Will you be angry at me? Bai Yin bursts out laughing. Why should I be angry? You don't remember anything yet you still recognized me. If anything, I'm going to reward you for being such a good husband. But first, we will make the ones responsible for your amnesia pay. Meeting 5. When she said this, Bai Yan's spiritual feelers had already been released to probe Di Song's body. It's there that she discovered something, which made the Demon Queen draw an icy smirk in disdain at what she found. Di Song, I will heal your injuries first, and when your wounds are healed, the power that seals your memories will naturally be shattered. Due to the injury he suffered, Deetsong's strength had regressed to the point where he couldn't remove the seal on his memory, hence the trouble thus far. And the reason for the hindrance was none other than a drug secretly injected by Willow during the last battle. Willow's face changed again, this time growing fierce and furious due to what she heard. All of you restrain them. In an instant, everyone in the Monarch Manor had drawn their swords and surrounded by Yin and Deetsong from all sides. The heinous killing intent was so prevalent that it's suffocating. Deetsong, can you deal with these people for a bit while I work on your medicine? After making this request, the Demon Queen flicks her palm open and summoned out a cauldron from the spatial storage ring. This was Bai Yan's first public demonstration of her alchemy. Though she doesn't like it, there's not much she could do. Fortunately, there were countless medicinal herbs in her hands, so it won't be too much of a problem, so long as no one directly butts in. Her focus won't be affected. Okay. Deetsong's gaze retracted from Bai Yan's body and turned to the people in front. Gradually, an invisible force began to gather around his hand until a mini typhoon started to spew out of his palm to sweep away the crowd like a wild storm. Those who rushed in first were instantly swept backwards by the wind, and the less fortunate were directly torn to shreds by the friction. Today, no one can touch her in the slightest so long as I'm here. The man's tone was domineering and tyrannical, leaving no room for questioning of his resolve. He was like a city wall, guarding Bai Yan's side and not giving those people an inch of opportunity to get close. Willow's heart throbbed harder and harder as the grief gripped her soul to the point of being painful. There's only sorrow left in her eyes at this display unpending twist and event. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you going to this extent for her? The man sneered in reply after repelling all those closing in on the second wave. Because she is Yinner. As long as it is Yinner, it is enough. Willow slowly closed her eyes, for she didn't want to do anything more to this man, especially after the first injury done by her own hands before. However, if this continues, then it would just be a matter of time before it's too late. No one in the Monarch Manor stand a chance, meaning suddenly shooting open her eyes to reveal the resolute light in there. Since this is your choice, then don't blame me. I don't want to hurt you, but you have been pushing me. The moment those words fell, the monarch's momentum instantly increased as she stepped in front of Deetsong's face, her sword pointing at the man and emitting a powerful cold glow. Outside the endless forest, on a small island, a little boy was dressed in rags and looking all miserable after pulling himself together after collapsing. He's upset and dirty. Nevertheless, the handsome features of his contour couldn't be hidden. Suzaku wanted to deceive me and trick me away, but it's not that easy, humph. I saw through their lies and found out where father and mother is. Since I am here, I will never leave until I find them. What about the knife rain? What about the sea of fire? Those life-threatening obstacles are mainly targeted at humans when entering this place. They're far weaker against demons. Meeting 6. Mother, where are you? Bai Xiaochen insisted on standing up from the ground, despite his terrible state, first wiping some of the tears from the corners of his eyes. I miss you so much, but I'm a man now. I can't cry and will only smile. Only by being strong am I qualified to protect Mother. His little body was slightly unstable as he peered up to the fiery hot sun burning in the sky, thus causing his parched lips to rip from dehydration. No, I can't fall now. I still have to go to find Mother. I've been in the Hell Domain for so long already. Maybe if I go a little further, then I will be able to find Mother. All the tears of grievance building up inside the steam bun got once again forced down again, turning it into fuel to move those small legs forward. I'm not a 3-year-old child anymore. I'm 8 this year. If I can't even do this much, I am not qualified to be a man. I won't be a burden to anyone. Perhaps even Bai Xiaochen had lost track of time or how long he's been in the desert. But eventually, he did find a city and stood at its gate, blinking his eyes in confusion after checking out the notice board posted around the side. How come the portrait looks so much like father? Little brother, what's wrong with you? A surprised voice came from the boy's side. Bai Xiaochen slowly swung his head over and met a beautiful young lady standing in front of himself. This girl was about 15 or 16 years old and looked dainty and cute with a pair of smiling shaped eyes. From the outside, she appears to be good-tempered and well-mannered. Little sister, Baishachin wiped the sweat from his forehead and pointed to the notice in front. That uncle is so handsome. Do you know who he is? At this moment, Baishachin was filthy from the arduous journey, hence why the young maiden didn't recognize how similar they were. Smiling in the face as she explained, "Oh, you mean the husband to our monarch? Some time ago he eloped with another female and fled the monarch manor. Then news spread one day that the mistress came back and barged into the monarch's home, demanding various things until she got detained from all the fuss." Baishachin lowered his eyes to cover the meaningful glow in his eyes over the story. After a good while of his musing, he looks up and acts all cute and innocent. "Little sister, who is the woman who went to the monarch manor to make the fuss? I'm curious." The girl's eyes were a little confused, but after taking another look at the boy who was genuinely ragged in appearance, she then understood and didn't mind. "I don't know her exact identity. I only know that there are a few demonic beasts that follow her, calling her their queen or something. Oh yes, her name is somewhat similar to Miss Xian, also called Yenner. Queen? Yenno?" Baishachin clenched his small fist despite no visible emotion on his face aside from that bright smile. "Thank you, little sister. Hey, by the way, how do I find that monarch manor? I want to go see." The girl pursed her lips and smiled. "The monarch will bring the husband back today and once again remarry. Right now many are going there to join in on the celebration, so it's not hard to find your way. Just follow the trail the crowd made through the endless forest. Baishachin's here. Well, get married again?" Baishachin's eyes became filled with surprise and confusion. The girl chuckled at his expression and continued, "I heard the monarch was already married to the man, but at that time they didn't declare it to the world, so that didn't count. This time she plans to remarry again and let the shameless females in the world not to rob other people's men." A touch of anger gradually appeared in Baishachin's eyes as the murderous impulse surged within his soul. "I need to keep it down. The most important matter is finding mother and father first. The rest can come afterward. Otherwise, they will get in your way before you even see them. Sister, isn't there a saying that seeing is believing and hearing is false? None of you have ever seen them married, yet you're so set on believing the story. What if that queen isn't the second one? That it was the monarch who forced him to marry her instead? Didn't the guy leave the estate and elope? I think that says something about the story being sketchy." The girl chuckles softly. "Little brother, why are you so cute? Don't you know about the monarch's position in the domain? With her capability, why would there be a need to cheat? The monarch's will is absolute, nor can she lie. What's more, it's well known she despises those who go behind their partner and cheat. We do not doubt that one bit." Baishachin lightly purses his lips. "That's not necessarily true. Maybe in the future another side to her will come to light." After dropping this sentence, he didn't bother to argue further and walked in the direction pointed out by the girl. In his view, these people got brainwashed by the stories passed on to the public. Therefore, any further argument would be pointless and futile. Only hard evidence would prove otherwise. The girl in the meanwhile was utterly shocked by what she's heard. Watching the departing back of the steam bun, she didn't know whether to be angry or amused right now. Once past the endless city, Baishachin quickly found the endless forest as indicated. He did not rush to look for Bai Yin. Instead, he found a lake to wash himself of the dust and grime. "I can be lazy when mother is not around, but I'm about to see her. First, I need to make myself presentable, otherwise she will be angry. Mother doesn't like dirty children." With that thought, he smiles and glances up to the bright sunlight. After washing his face and checking his own ragged clothes, he's suddenly befallen with a dilemma. What should I do about clothes? I snuck out of the demon realm without preparing anything. If I go in this state, will mother be upset? But I can't exactly go see mother naked, can I? Even I dare to do that, father will definitely be upset and toss me away. At that point, it will be impossible to stick to mother's side. After pondering for half a minute, Baishachin finally decided and did nothing. If mother and father dislike my wardrobe, then that's fine. It's no big deal if I act all cute. Mother always fall for this. No longer hesitating, the steam bun began to walk in strides for the depths of the endless forest by following the tracks left behind by the public crowd. It won't be long until he arrives at the Monarch Manor at the pace he's going. Bai Xiaqin's here, too, inside the Monarch Manor. The Demon King indifferently glared at Willow with those perennially cold eyes as the trickle of blood spilled forward from the lips. Despite the injury, he never once took a step away from Bai Yan's side, acting as her shield like a guardian angel. Di Tsang, Willow's voice quivered with disbelief and pain. Why are you so protective of her? What is so good about her that you must do this? Thought finally caused the man to smile over that questioning, which only hurt the jealous monarch further. I don't remember anything anymore, nor do I remember why she's so good. All I know is that she's the best woman in the world and that I need to protect her. No one can compare with her. Outside the courtyard, Amo Xan Yan's body gradually collapsed to the ground after that proclamation. She's weeping tears of sadness at the cruel fate. The woman just now is an imposter, and that this one is the real love? But I don't want to accept this. How can such a man be so obsessed with a woman? Ha ha ha! Willow bursts out laughing after a while of silence. She's wild and erratic in the eyes as she cries tears of sorrow at the stab in her heart. Di Tsang, I originally thought I could finally have you by my side by doing all this, but I was wrong. Lowering her eyes as she inhaled deeply to convince herself it's the right thing to do. Don't blame me. This is your fault in forcing me. I can only remove her to end your fascination with her. This is all right. As long as I kill her, Di Tsang's heart will be mine eventually. I will take his soul out and put it inside a puppet. That way he can be by my side forever. As the old saying goes, when love reaches an extreme, what that emotion becomes could be nothing short of vileness. The pure and disgusting type to make one rot from within. Willow might not have been an evil and cruel person before, but love has clearly twisted her personality beyond redemption. We support your decision, Monarch. You should have done this long ago towards this ungrateful and heartless man. That's right. You're the best woman in this world. Any man who doesn't cherish your love deserves nothing short of death. Kill that whore for being so shameless. When the first sentence sounded, Di Tsang didn't give it much care since it's only directed at himself. However, the second one caused a huge response since it was aimed at his wife. In his world, no one gets to insult his true love. Without knowing why, the young and angry man who said to kill Bai Yin froze without understanding why. It's as if he's in a frozen iceberg, shivering and afraid of his surroundings until Di Tsang's punch hit him in the chest without notice. Blood oozed from his chest and stained his clothes red. That's the price to pay for all of you if I hear another word about my wife again. Di Tsang's murderous gaze swept across the crowd and knocked them down a notch. They didn't dare to meet his due to the demonstration and instantly cowered like rats. Turning back to the monarch in question, the Demon King's voice was seething with rage. It seems that you've been throwing out many false stories since I escaped from your estate. Not only did you make up the lie of us being married, you also framed Yinner of being my mistress. When have we ever been together? Willow's breathing was huffing with frustration at the string of interrogating words. Without thought, she yelled back, Are you not going to acknowledge us after you made the vow? You've promised to always love me. Bai Xiaqin's here, 3. It was already impossible for her to gain Di Tsang's heart. Therefore, she must not disappoint the domain's denizens here at the very least. Besides, no one knows if they are in fact married. There's no evidence to prove otherwise. Although I forgot everything I understood, except for Yinner, any woman standing by my side will disgust and sicken me. Yet you say you're related to me? How ridiculous. The man cracked a snickering laugh of frost, letting his contempt for the monarch to show across the face. Of course he's not related to you. A young and green voice came from behind then, causing everyone to turn towards a young teen strolling over. Young and fair-skinned with a baby face, the young man's voice was full of contempt at the monarch. Yin Yin and Di Tsang already have a son that's 8 years old. Are you implying you were married to him 8 years ago? Willow's complexion turned pale as she stumbled backward from the mental impact. This teenager, why is his face so familiar? I think I saw it somewhere before, but I can't remember where. If it was in the past, and someone else, Willow would surely rebuke the claim of there being a kid. But she's fallen into a relapse due to Mo Li Shang's familiar face. You're lying. One of the leading maids saw this spiraling situation and quickly denied the story. You said they have a child together? Where's the kid then? Bring the child out for everyone to see. This man is obvious our monarch's husband, and it was that woman taking advantage of his amnesia to seduce him away. There's no truth in your story at all. Willow snapped back to reality about hearing her attendant's outcry. Shooting a look back to her maid, she signals her to stop, but doesn't deny what got said since it's a good excuse. So what if they have a kid together? Not like the child can come into the hell domain due to the obstacles I placed. Sure, it's weaker if a demon enters, but the pain is nothing to laugh about. Besides, when have anyone heard of a kid enduring tribulation after tribulation? That's ridiculous. Thinking of this, Willow's heart slightly relaxed and allowed her to smirk a sneer. Deet Song is indeed my husband. This woman knew that and took advantage of his memory loss to take advantage of the opening. Don't worry though, everyone. I'm over him now. I don't want him anymore. But neither of them can leave today. The moment her voice fell down, the monarch had already jumped forward to swing that sword at the Demon King. All her attacks were lethal, showing how determined she was at salvaging her own reputation. Seeing her make such a decision, everyone present couldn't resist feeling giddy inside for the choice. They had long felt such a half-hearted man wasn't worthy of their monarch. To have the lady kill the very guy was proof she's amazing beyond compare. They won't question her authority or words, ever. If it was the previous Deet Song, where he's at full strength, dealing with these attacks would be nothing. But the injuries, that's been a problem since he awoke, which made his brows furrow up in annoyance. Meanwhile, Bai Yan's attention never once left the cauldron under her control in the rear. It's taking everything from her to do this, and that showed in the beads of sweat flowing down the cheeks. Bai Xiaoqin's here for, under the onslaught of assault from the despicable monarch, Deet Song continues to repel the attacks one after the other. He's showing blood along the lips, but never once had the Demon King wavered under the pressure. On the contrary, Willow's cold, hard determination to silence the stain in her name had started to crumble instead. Deet Song is obviously still injured, so why is he able to resist me for this long? If this continues, that woman will soon finish her refinement of the cure to my drug. I can't let this drag on. I must finish this. Everyone attack now. Kill the woman first. Willow's wretched voice screeches out, ordering the battle maids under her control to charge in droves. That finally destabilized Deet Song's reserve heart after hearing those words. He's had enough trouble fending off the monarch. It's only going to get worse with more hands to look out for. If you dare lay a single finger on her, then I will never let any of you go. Willow felt suffocating over that threat, gritting her teeth until her lip was bleeding. All of you attack now. I want her dead this instant. Boom! Anger surged out from the Demon King's heart, thus causing a hurricane to surge around his body to act as a shield. Yenner is mine. No one is allowed near her. Deet Song, you deal with that monarch. I will handle these rabbles. It's then that Mo Li Shang's voice came from the rear again. I won't let anyone touch or harm her. Deet Song's back stiffened so slightly before he glanced around to face the teen's determined face. All right. Mo Li Shang stood next to Bai Yan with firm eyes as he watched the horde of foes charge at him. The teen didn't fret, nor did he show fear. Instead, he raised a hand and summoned out a sword to brandish it towards the horde of opponents charging at him. Boom! Willow blades chopped down relentlessly at the windstorm created by Deet Song and created shockwave after shockwave. No! Seeing that the monarch's killing intent was getting stronger and stronger, Mo Xanyan, who was hiding behind the courtyard, charged over with her own sword and intervened. Shifu, are you really going to kill him? She bit her lips tightly with tears flowing down those eyes. You forget how much you loved him? Are you really going to kill the man you love the most? Willow's action stopped at the intervention. Staring down at her student, the woman sharply snaps out, This is my business. Get out of my way. No, Shifu, you can't kill him. The tears in Mo Xinyan's eyes poured out like a river as she repelled another swing from the monarch. Please let him go, okay? This rebellious behavior obviously surprised Willow to no end, gazing down at her once obedient student with a scrutinizing glare. Xinyan, have you forgotten what I said to you before? That finally brought a bit of sense back into the lass who's lost in the heat of the moment. By Xiaoqin's here. 5. Sure, Fu. I didn't betray you. I'm only afraid you will come to regret it later if you really kill him. Mo Xinyan raised her eyes in panic, clenching that fist tightly in fear. Willow's heart became heavier and heavier as she came to terms with what has become of her student. She could be harsh and cruel to those she deemed beneath herself, but this child had followed her for years. There's no way she didn't have a strand of attachment to the lass. After a long time, she finally shot open those eyes again and removed all the emotions on her face. Xinyan, all these years, I have always treated you as my own daughter, but I never thought you would betray me for a man, haha. That said, the monarch began to laugh wildly as the bitterness seethed forward from her voice. She had indeed been very harsh on Mo Xinyan, but in the same way, she also regarded her as a daughter. Aside from Di Song being the man she wants, this Xinyan was Willow's only other. The sense of betrayal in the monarch's voice didn't go unnoticed in Mo Xinyan's ear as she shuddered in the understanding of what she's done. Sure, Fu. Enough. Willow snapped in anger and stopped the lass from making excuses. Xinyan, do you think at this point I will still believe you? I have warned you long ago not to taint him. Even a thought is not permitted. Did you think my words are nothing but wind in your ear? Mo Xinyan stumbled backward as beads of tears rolled down the cheeks. She wanted to defend herself, but found her throat croaking in silence. The girl simply didn't have anything to say. Sure, Fu, please spare him, or at least make him lose his memory thoroughly. Mo Xinyan pleaded in a praying fashion. Towards this sure Fu of hers, she had no power to resist. It's like a mortal facing a god. Only prayers and begging would work, and nothing else. Sadly, that was the biggest mistake the lass could make, because she had indirectly confessed to the public of the truth. Wah! The crowd fell into turmoil at the unintentional words. Their minds wanted to believe in Willow, but the truth was slowly and gradually degrading their belief, even if they themselves didn't want to face reality. What did she say about making him lose his memory more thoroughly? Does this mean the man's amnesia is due to the monarch's work? How could such an outstanding, highly conducted woman like the monarch do such a thing? But these words came from the mouth of Miss Xinyan. What are we supposed to believe? Mo Xinyan, you are tired. That's why you've begun talking nonsense. Willow drew a snarl in her snickering smile and gathered force in her palm before releasing it upon the student. Maids, take the young lady. I will dispose of her later for this betrayal. Mo Xinyan's figure immediately fell backward and fell into the crowd, and due to the shockwave of the blow, her clothes were in tatters with holes all over. Sure, Fu, I know that you have always regarded me as your own daughter. That's why I will never betray you for a man. I only want you to have happiness. A trickle of tears slowly fell down the girl's cheek, giving her a sad and pitiful appearance only found in those who are kind and gentle. You love him so much. If he dies, the only one to be hurt is you. By Xiaoqin's here. 6. Willow's eyes were cold as she signaled the maids to move forward with their swords in hand. Despite Mo Xinyan's status, they didn't hesitate and brandished their blades around the girl's neck. This time, is Shifu really going to kill me? Xinyan, I am first going to deal with these people first, then I will settle the issue with you. Willow's smirk didn't have any kindness left in them, only the murderous gaze of a judge deciding the fate of the weak. Di Song, your ability is truly astonishing. Even my disciple is now under your whim. To save you, she's willing to betray even me and made up stories to tarnish my image. The crowd flew into an uproar and glared at Mo Xinyan, who became the target of their ire. That makes sense. When have we heard of the monarch being such a person? It's just that this man's ability to seduce girls are too strong. That's why Miss Xian Yin is lying for him. Such men are not worthy of our monarch's love. Di Tsong did not speak to defend his reputation, but instead used the opening to wipe some of the blood from the corner of his lip. He's a man of action, always have and always will, which he showed by increasing his bloodthirsty, killing intent. Wah! Suddenly, the Demon King's figure turned into a streak of wind to get behind the monarch's back in a flash. He didn't hesitate or show mercy, slashing down with his sword that sliced reality itself. In her defense, Willow was far more relaxed. She already anticipated such tactics. So with a raise of her hand, an immense force blew out from the palm and blasted the energy blade away, as well as resealing the reality crack. It's her domain, meaning everything happened under her watch. Di Tsong, your injuries have not recovered. Why must you force me to fight you? A smile rose from the monarch's face after uttering that. Do you think that you are still my opponent now? He's no longer the true celestial from way back, and his strength has diminished beyond compare. Not to mention, he's also injured now. In an instant, the temperature around Willow dropped to below zero as she struck again. You old witch, don't you dare bully my father and mother. Suddenly halting after that outburst from the side, Willow's body fell into shock due to the disbelief of what she's heard. Those words were echoing in her head, similar to a clap from thunder, and refusing to leave her mind. Stumbling to gain her footing, the woman took a good while to search for the source. She eventually did, and saw a little young boy wearing dirty clothes ripped in multiple places. Instantly, Willow knew the child was Di Tsong's son. That air, those eyes, it's too similar to the Demon King. In fact, the contour of the boy was already drawing close to the father's, only younger and less mature. At the same time this was occurring, a loud explosive noise suddenly came from Bai Yan's cauldron. It's the signal that the medicine has completed after the woman committed her all to refining this precious pill. It's finally done. The Demon Queen opened the lid and used her bare hands to pluck out the green beady object. Di Tsong's recover, one, Xiachen. Bai Yan could tell it was her precious boy outside the courtyard with just one glance. Right now, the little kid's face was clean and handsome, only marred by the tattered clothes he wore due to not having a replacement. Even so, it won't stop the steam bun from calling out, "Mother!" He loses his angry face and dons the most brilliant and shining smile he has. It's his usual demeanor when facing the woman of his life. Di Tsong's gaze also turned to the little boy in question, but instead of the happy reunion that's supposed to be between father and son, the Demon King only had a doubtful expression. Xia, Xiachen. By Xiachen? The name appeared involuntarily in his mind, and that changed the initial confusion to a dazed softness. Mother, did father go stupid? Why is he looking at me with those eyes? This behavior was something never before shown to the steam bun from his old man. For that, it made Bai Xiachen jerk backward and look towards Bai Yin for help. You're my son, are you not? Di Tsong seemed to have forgotten about the war happening around himself, and slowly walked towards the boy. Bai Xiachen became even more confused. Mother really went stupid. He doesn't even know who I am. Bai Yin pursed her lips and said nothing, holding onto the pill to come before her husband. I've finished refining the medicine. Take this. It will heal your injuries. Her words fluttered into the Demon King's ear, causing the man to melt away in a creamy fashion. Okay. Di Tsong smiles and happily reaches over to take the pill off the wife's hand. This wasn't good, not good at all for Willow. The monarch frantically ran forward in haste. Don't take the pill. Due to the nervousness of what's to come, her voice was shaky and unstable. It couldn't be helped. It was extremely hard for the woman to harm the Demon King to begin with. If Di Tsong regained his strength, then she stood no chance with his guard up. Mo Xian Yin didn't react like her Shifu though despite being restrained. Her sight had locked onto the steam bun and his face, which she promptly compared it to the man. It's then that a surge of cold frost swept up from her feet and into the lady's heart. This man has married and with children, and the son is already so big. Mo Xian Yan's heart shuddered at the irony she brought upon herself. But that emotion soon transformed into a bitter rage that wanted to suffocate her entire existence. If this is what it means to love someone, then I never want to fall in love in the first place. That way, I wouldn't be in so much pain. Boom. In the instant that Willow rushed towards Deet's song, the man who had originally turned his back on her swung around and released a wild storm. Their powers collided violently in the air, throwing everything in their vicinity away like scraps in the wind. Deetsong's recover, too. Willow got forcibly repelled back several steps from that exchange. When she looked up again to meet that seductive and handsome face, her own complexion had already gone pale. He recovered. This man, he's fully recovered. How am I going to handle this now? The others didn't miss the panting breath from the monarch's chest, but their focus couldn't leave the steambun's figure due to his appearance. This little boy looks so similar to that Sir Deet song. It's impossible to say they're not father and son. Ha ha. Suddenly, Willow bursts into a wild laugh. It's filled with self-ridicule and sarcasm, like someone being shamed. For a while, the whole courtyard had fallen quiet. Deet song. Her white dress fluttered gently with the wind as sadness surged forward on her expression. You are so cruel. What on earth can I compare to her? Even if he loses his memory, this woman is the only one in his heart. Willow's gaze finally turned to Bai-Yin to take a serious look for once. This woman is indeed very beautiful. So beautiful that even I am moved by her contour. It's just like back then. Deet song and this woman fought over and over again. Yet, no matter when or where, she's always the most glorious and shining existence. Deet song will only have her in his eyes. The old grudge once again flashed before Willow's eyes like a film, which only made her all the sadder. I thought I could have him as long as I become more like her. But in the end, I'm only fooling myself. When did it start? I used to be so kind and gentle, like all my peers who dreams of finding love and a husband. Since when did I get so absorbed in becoming like her just to win this man's heart? Am I still myself anymore? Bad woman, you can't compare to my mother, not ever. Bai Xiaoqian's small body got in front of Bai-Yin and acted like a shield, his aura strong and unyielding. You don't deserve to be compared to her. Willow's fist clenched violently over that statement as her gaze shifted over from Deet songs and onto the steambuns. She was sad before, but now it's all about rage and the desire to murder this rut. Are you Deet song's son? She sneered and seethed with disdain. Bai Xiaoqian did not reply to her question, but instead swinged around to act all cute and innocent before Bai-Yin. Mother, is this bad woman stupid? Didn't she hear me call father already? What's the point of asking me that rhetorical question? Willow almost wanted to explode there as her chest huffed and puffed from annoyance. It's bad enough she's losing face. Now she's being insulted by a rut. Deet song's recover. 3. Deet song, I'm asking you again, are you really unwilling to marry me? Not even as a concubine. When she finally spoke, her voice weakened with a hint of pleading. Hiss. Everyone that heard this gasped in a cold shudder. They're all staring at the monarch in disbelief due to those words. In the domain, they all knew Willow as a lady who hated men with multiple wives. For that, she earned the respect of both genders for many years. But now it's come to the truth that it's false, that she's willing to become someone's concubine, a mistress. Shifu, Mo Xinyan's eyes widened in surprise, her body trembling as the color drained from that face. Why? Why is the Shifu who wouldn't allow me to be the man's concubine pleading to become one? My Shifu shouldn't be like this. She should have used every means to snatch Deet song over. Shifu is so powerful. What in the world is there that she can't do? Mo Xinyan bit her lip until it was bleeding as the idol and source of her own pride collapsed from within. It's upheaving her ideology and crushing it. Deet song's voice was cold as he replied, In this life, I will only have one wife, no concubines. In this life, I will only have one wife, no concubines. Willow's body nearly collapsed as those words echoed in her head, causing those weeping tears to flow forward and memories of old to resurface 10,000 years ago. Her father also went to the palace to propose a marriage for herself. Naturally, it wasn't for the position of the queen, but a consort or ladyship title. But what did they get? The same speech from that dominating king whom entranced her at first sight. In this life, I will only marry one wife, and if I don't meet a woman who can make me put down my pride, then I will have no other, nor will there be a concubine by my side. Then later, that woman appeared, a woman who was able to make the great demon king toss away his pride and grovel like a regular man. Unfortunately, this woman never realized the love she got from the man, only taking Deetsong as an adversary that needs to be fought off. But never, ever, in Willow's wildest dream would she expect this pair who fought day and night for years to be reborn anew and form a family, and have a child together. This irony, it's too much for the monarch to endure. Deetsong, your memory has been restored. Bai Yin heard her husband's declaration and shifted away from her son's and onto the man's handsome face. Yin, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have forgotten you. Deetsong met her gaze, those eyes giving all the answers she needed. Bai Yin narrowed her eyes before continuing. Deetsong, tell me, did she hurt you? I found a means to remove the bead from our daughter's body, but before I managed to leave, I inadvertently fell into the trap she set. As for the rest, I'll explain later for you. The Demon King wraps his arm around the woman's shoulder before cooing in her ear. I promise you, I will never let this sort of thing happen again in the future. Deetsong's recover, for there's something Deetsong didn't say. The reason why he fell into the trap was that he saw an unexpected scene. Specifically, a woman got attacked by several enemies, even though their faces were different. But it only took the Demon King one glance to know that the woman was none other than his wife. Aya, disheveled in her hair, Willow's appearance was a mess by this point as she rattled her head due to the sanity leaving her mind. She's unable to accept this reality and turned red in the eye with veins popping. Deetsong, since you're so heartless towards me, then don't blame me for being unjust. No one is allowed to leave the Monarch Manor today. Ha! Willow laughed wildly and caused those who heard it to shudder in cold chill. This fear was especially true for those invited to attend this wedding ceremony. They've never expected Willow to behave this way, nor for her to have this crazy side. I think the Monarch Manor's a bit turbulent today. I will bid my farewell first. A youngster who was scared out of his wits spoke first and attempted to run. This caused a chain reaction among the guests because they all felt the same way. Unfortunately, the door slammed shut with a loud bang the second they tried to move towards the exit. As I said, no one is allowed to leave the estate today. Despite the weather being a hot summer day, the guests back were shivering like they got thrust into an ice mountain. Monarch, what are you doing? We are only here to attend your marriage ceremony. When has it become a norm for the guests not to leave? Since the marriage is off, it's only proper that we made our departure. Willow sneered over that comment, her eyes pricking up in irony. In the hearts of the people, I am everyone's goddess, their faith. Why would I let any of you go after knowing so much? Whatever vileness hiding underneath was now open for everyone to see. She's a venomous snake full of jealousy that only cares about her own reputation. She may not be like this at birth, but the long years of living in seclusion within this domain had twisted her into a dark creature. No, the young man who initially wanted to leave could not stand the atmosphere anymore and cried out horror. In his panic, he smashed the door with a powerful palm strike. I'm leaving this place. I don't want to die yet. However, the door remained motionless under his assault. It's obvious the material used for the building wasn't normal. Let me out, let me out. Battle 1, bang. Suddenly, a force impacted the young man's back and pierced through his body. First going stiff with eyes popping in shock, the lad glances down at his chest where a giant hole was showing with blood continuously gushing out. He couldn't believe this, but belief didn't matter as the life gradually left this mortal body that went limp in the next. Everyone in attendance became horrified, but more importantly, stunned by this picture. They knew the monarch was behaving out of character compared to their expectation, but they didn't expect her to start killing everyone who came to celebrate her supposed good day. Annoying. Willow snickers disdainfully at the target of her wrath before scanning the crowd, staring over with the same kind of ridiculing faces from way past. If anyone dares say another word, your ending will be just like him. Unable to speak due to the unshakable fear, the crowd surrounding the now lifeless corpse split apart to scatter. There's no longer any sort of admiration in their eyes when facing the monarch, only boundless panic. Sure, Fu. Mo Xan was also frightened by Willow's method, so she couldn't stop stuttering when trying to complete a sentence. You shut up too. Willow's fierce gaze instantly shuts the girl's mouth up, her murderous intent radiating across the air. I will have you taste the consequences of betraying me later. Mo Xan body froze, her legs unable to find the strength of standing up. In her eye, this woman was no longer the same powerful and peerless teacher, but an evil and sinister being that brought fear to those who watched. Yinner, you and Shachin wait here for me. Deetsong slowly loosened the arm around his wife's shoulder and warily looked over to the monarch. The two are having a standoff. Before the playing field was uneven, but now it's settled and the true fight was about to begin. It's suffocating for those watching like they're inside a hurricane. Mo Xan knew this was the only chance she had to flee. Before anyone noticed it, the girl had crawled away and disappeared into the back end of the estate. Deetsong, you're the one who forced me to do this. The corners of her mouth curved into a sneer as Willow's killing intent spread across the surroundings. Father, do you need me to help you? Bai Xiaqin slowly stepped forward and took his spot beside the Demon King. He may be small and young, but he's already well on his way to inheriting his old man's character. Just make sure to protect your mother. Deetsong smiled indifferently and turned down the offer from his son. Don't worry, father. As long as I'm here, then no one can touch mother. I won't let a single finger touch her dress. The steam bun pats his chest like a big man. The Demon King didn't say more, only faintly smiling as he focused on dealing with the monarch who had already rushed towards their family. Battle 2. Meanwhile, in the backyard, Mo Xan was sprinting away after getting out of everyone's view when a familiar voice up ahead caught her attention. Sister Xan. Speaking this was a young girl dressed in rags hiding behind a tree. She's only showing a part of her head with those curious eyes poking out. What are you doing here? Mo Xan grew angry upon recognizing it was the dumb girl of the Monarch Manor. Heart shrunk her head a little further behind the tree and sounded all wrong by the poor reception. I heard the fighting sound in the front yard. I want to go see what's happening, but I know Mother wouldn't like it, so I'm just wondering what's going on. Mo Xan's complexion got paler at the reminder. Her mood was already terrible, but the thought of the consequences only made it worse. Biting those lips in annoyance. How am I supposed to know what happened? If you want to know, you can go see for yourself. But Hart lowered her head. If I show myself before the public, Mother will be outraged at me. I must have done something awful for Mother and Father not to come to see me for so many years. I don't want to make it worse by being unruly. But I should be good. Only by behaving will Mother not be angry. Hart lifted her little head and showed the innocence in those eyes that didn't understand the outside world. Naturally, this didn't escape Mo Xan's sharp-wittedness. It's driving her crazy at the pure nature of this mentally damaged girl. But more than that, she's very envious of Hart, who managed to get adopted and such by sacrificing nothing. Narrowing her eyes in with a burning annoyance. Hart, do you know why Shifu hates you? The mentally damaged Hart tilts her head in confusion. Why? I've been behaving myself. Why does Mother hate me so much? Because Mo Xan sneered and ticked her lips into a contemptuous smirk. Who told you to be so dumb? Shifu likes smart people. You are stupid and slow. Not only are you a stain on Shifu's reputation, no one in the world likes you. You are the most disgusting person under the heavens. Shifu doesn't even want to look at you because your very presence makes her want to strangle you. She hated Hart from the first time they met, not for any special reason, merely for the privilege given to this mentally damaged girl. Under Mo Xan's humiliating tone and words, Hart's expression naturally grew more miserable. She's slow in the head due to the long years in that time stasis, but she's by no means incapable of understanding anything. Those words hurt, and it hurts a lot coming from those whom she's supposed to call family. I am this much an annoyance. Hart lowered her head further as the tears slowly soaked that dirt under her feet. Battle 3, that's right. Mo Xan Yin sneered. Shifu told me she hates you so much that if you can die, then it would be perfect. If I can't escape from the Monarch Manor today, then Shifu will definitely kill me. Since the person next to Shifu can no longer be me, I won't let Hart have a peace of mind either. This will cause a rift between them, and they can never be the same again. Smirking at the dreadful face shown by Hart after her lies, Xan Yin leans in closer and whispers more cruel words. You must remember, the one Shifu hates the most in this life is you. She only adopted you to torture you in the future. You're so stupid, she will never like you. You're so stupid, she will never like you, bang. Those hurtful words exploded in Hart's head, causing her already tiny and malnourished body to stagger backwards in pain. She's crying tears that are so emotional that it hurts to watch. Hart, you're really too stupid. Do you think Shifu adopted you because of love? If she did, would she have allowed those servants to bully you? It's so funny watching you hoping for Shifu to look at you, ha ha ha. It's so ridiculous. In this place, your status is lower than a slave. It's below that of a dog. Due to how absorbed she was in her insults, Mo Xan Yin had omitted the strange appearance slowly forming on Hart's figure. Aya! A cry of sorrow shook the entire sky and ground. It's the manifestation of anger, pain, and despair. Jolting backwards out of reflex from the shockwave, Mo Xan Yin nearly fell backwards while popping her eyes out in shock. There's a violent surge of power flowing out of Hart's body, and it's continuing to grow bigger and bigger by the second, like a vortex trying to swallow its surrounding. Hart, what's wrong with you? She didn't dare to get any closer and believe the other girl had gone crazy like her Shifu. You don't think that's enough to scare me. But the unstable girl did not respond, only showing an emotionless face that was covered in tears. It's unsettling for the other side who was the cause of this. Out of panic and fear of drawing further attention over on this side, Mo Xan Yin swiftly ignored the abnormal girl and rushed for the back exit where it's unlikely to be guarded. Front yard. The crowd also heard the earth-shattering cry from the back end. This includes Willow and Deet Song, who were in fierce combat above the ground. But since this voice belonged to Hart, the monarch only took a brief pause before recovering her composure. Together till death, one. A blanket of gloom has come over this battlefield at some point, like a heavy downpour. It's making the atmosphere extremely heavy and suffocating for those underneath the clouds. Willow's face gradually darkened under this stress as well, and her grief towards Deet Song has completely changed from the earlier grief to that of hatred and anger. That said, the mighty woman didn't just stare and stand there. She mustered this emotion in her body and charged at the Demon King. In a flash, she was already behind Deet Song with a blade, making an upward swing. Bang! Boom! Swish, blow after blow. The two went back and forth with no visible advantage, with either taking the win. Ho ho! Abruptly, Willow's cynical laugh cuts in after a pause. Deet Song, it seems it will be difficult to distinguish who is stronger today, so I will settle this at another date. In an instant, the entire earth started to quake at her signal, shaking and rumbling until cracks fissured out from all directions. Deet Song could no longer care about the monarch at this sudden change in event. Hurrying over to his wife's side, the Demon King pulls Bai Yin into his arms and then grabs the steam bun by the collar to protect them both with his aura. Such a warm-sided sight deeply stung Willow's eyes, making her full of resentment. She's red in the eyes and began to laugh wildly until her voice became deafening. Ha ha ha! It doesn't matter how deeply you love today. Your love will only bring you more pain in the future. At this moment, Willow had fallen into madness, her smile crazy and fanatical. Those who came to celebrate today didn't even dare to breathe under this atmosphere. They only want to get away from the Mad Monarch by this point. Yet, Before they could catch their breath, the ground cracked entirely and revealed the chasm underneath. It's a mouth of darkness, devouring all the unaware who didn't escape in time. In the Hell Realm, I am the goddess. Willow narrowed her eyes and made her usual cold face at Yin. So, I will make sure you disappear for good under my watch, ha. For any cultivator who breaks through to the Divine Lord level, they are able to create their own mini-realm, effectively making them a god in this domain. That's to say, Willow gets to control everything within this world. Even if that meant the destruction of this world, it's at her disposal, just like how that chasm devoured the attendees today. On cue, the sky as well began to warp into a wind tunnel. Whatever trees or greenery were sucked into this wormhole, and the poor animals in the endless forest were massacred without ever knowing their own fate. Worst of all, the phenomena was increasing in size and expanding across the landscape at incredible speed. Together till death, too. What is happening? How did the endless forest become like this? It's like the world is coming to an end. It's over. This time our whole domain is over. Everyone who didn't get devoured by the chasm in the ground was trembling in fright. Many of them somehow found safety in a corner or clinging to a small foothold on the side, but none were faring so well if nothing changed. Endless Forest, Monarch Manor. Yinner, you, and Shachin leave first. Deetsong's brows grew grim as he leaned down to kiss his wife's rosy lips. I'll be back soon. Go home? Bai Yin was stunned, and when she looked up, Deetsong had already placed a blue stone in her palm. The bead in Linger's body is called the Demon Flame Bead. It's an object that has its own will and unlikely willing to be taken out. This here is the Divine Water Stone. Only it can restrain the power of the Flame Bead. In addition, the existence of the Demon Flame Bead being inside our daughter's body mustn't leak to anyone. Otherwise, disaster will befall her from every angle. Deetsong's tone was very heavy and grim. Thankfully, the wind around them was strong, so no one could hear their words due to how close he whispered the instruction. However, the scene nevertheless brought a sting to Willow's eye due to the intimate contact the couple shared. She's burning with jealousy in the eye and started to froth in the mouth. You two are still talking about love after reaching this point? Since I control the Hell Realm, I will send the both of you to different places, never to meet one another in this lifetime. Willow sneers derisively, her momentum growing more intense by the second. Even the clouds were swirling around her body due to the power, throwing rocks and bricks into the air into the forming hurricane. Meanwhile, in the back end of the manor, Imo Xanyin, who originally wanted to sneak away from the battlefield using the opening, was suddenly thrust into a bind. There's currently a vast, gaping chasm blocking her way. If she didn't stop in the nick of time, she too would have fallen into this giant hole like all the rest. Shifu has gone crazy. She's really gone crazy. How could she do this to her own work? She created everything here. How could she destroy all that she worked for? Mother, Heart, the mentally damaged girl, raised her head in a daze at this moment, catching fleeting a glance at the monarch standing in the epicenter of this hurricane. She's so hurt from the lies that the child couldn't hold back the sorrow. Ha. For Willow, she's lost all control of her body. In her mind, there's only the stinging picture of that family of three. Deetsong, Bai Yan's hand tightly held her husband's, ignoring the wave of murderous intent from the monarch. The fact that I came to find you means I won't go back alone. If we leave, then we're leaving together, not one less. In this life, she will not leave him again and go alone. Yinner, Deetsong counter-grabbed Bai Yan's hand and frowned slightly. You don't have to worry about me. I will go back to you soon. Bai Yin smiled and shook her head. Do you remember what I said about my father on Earth? He's timid and a coward. When my mother's side of the family got slaughtered before his very eyes, he did nothing and watched from the side. So, I wasn't able to trust another man again after that, until I met you again. Together till death for Uncle Emoli Shang. Bai Xiaoqin looks over to the guy. If I can't go back this time, you help take care of Sister Dragoni and Sister Linger. Also, tell Jean Tian not to be so gluttonous in the future. He's a man, so he needs to look after the family's girls. And he also needs his protection. Mo Lishang's hand trembled at the steam bun's almost will-like message. He wanted to say something, but found his throat choking. After a moment of pause, he stared at the blue stone in his hand and knew what he must do. I can't act like this. I promised Yin Yin to bring this back to the demon realm, so get your act together, you idiot. Okay. Mo Lishang finally decides to move, but not before giving one last glance at the mother and son that he must leave behind. Then, in a ray of light, he shoots out into the distance using the mysterious power he wielded. Willow did not care about the departure of this young man. In her mind, no one could leave the Hell Domain without her permission. They would all die once the world collapsed, and all she needed to do was wait. Ah, how whimsical of you to think he can leave the domain. Without my permission, none of you can leave. Willow smiled sarcastically, but then changed to an entranced look when landing on Di Tsong's figure. No matter how cold her heart becomes, this woman somehow always manages to be swayed by the Demon King's existence after her original outburst. Di Tsong, if you want, I can let you live, really. Di Tsong lets go of Bai Yan's hand and slowly walks towards Willow through the air, which causes the monarch to be overjoyed inside because this gave her hope he might change his mind. Di Tsong, I know your strength is very strong, but this is the Hell Domain, my world. As long as I will it, everyone here will inevitably disappear. She cracks a fanatical laugh like she's got him on the rope. Except for me. No one can live unless I help them. Sure, Fu. Mo Yen, who's been huddling in the corner of the estate, trembled inside after hearing that ruthless statement. Not many know this, but this disciple of Willow's understood it would be impossible for her teacher to create another domain after this one. The Hell Domain was the embodiment of the Creator, an extension of their power. If this world collapses into oblivion, Willow would become severely traumatized and lose a vast portion of her cultivation. Di Tsong had already stopped before the monarch using this short time frame. He didn't utter a word, but raised an arm and lashed out. PFFF. Due to how obsessed she was behaving, Willow never had the time to notice the Demon King's strike against her shoulder, thus allowing the man to puncture a hole right through that flesh and bone. Blood instantly stained her white dress as a result. If it was the previous Willow, she might not be so easily injured even if her attention did get divided. However, initiating the destruction of the Hell Domain cost her enormously, both physically and mentally. Stumbling back several steps due to the impact, her cheeks had gotten paler due to the excessive blood loss. The answer saddens the monarch, but more than that, she's outraged at the Demon King's repeated denial and stubbornness. Di Tsong. She bit her lip until it bled before bursting into a wild cackle. You all deserve to die. All of you deserve to die. Endless darkness. 1. This is only the interest for now. After not killing Willow in one move, Di Tsong didn't idle and swiftly returned to his wife's side. Taking her by his arm, he stares down at the crazy-looking monarch with condescending eyes. And whatever you owe us, I will settle the accounts on another day. Once this statement came ahead, the endless forest gradually disappeared from view, leaving only a shroud of darkness as far as the eye can see. The destructive sequence in this area was nearing completion, leaving only portions of the manor floating atop a black mouth. Mo Yen happened to be one of the lucky ones after taking refuge atop a crumbling slab of a wall. She's frightened and mortified, unable to believe the emptiness that now surrounds herself. As for the leftover survivors, they weren't faring so well either. Many had urinated their pants, and some were barely clinging to an object with a finger to live. Regardless, though, it won't be long until they too perish into the darkness. Di Tsong didn't care about strangers, of course. With his wife and son in each hand, the Demon King doesn't resist the gravitational force pulling them downwards. He's powerful, but he had no means to break apart reality to escape either. Before long, only silence filled the family's ear until the pull disappeared and only Weightless remained. Mother, where's this place? Bai Xiaoqin's childish voice sounded in the darkness. Bai Yin did not answer for some reason. It's strange, but that's not an issue because the lady's aura remains next to them. Mother, why aren't you talking? Bai Xiaoqin's tone sounded dejected. If we die or can't go out, what will happen to Ling Yin and Jean Tian who's back home? Also, Sister Dragoni only has us as her family. What will she do if we don't show up again? She will definitely be saddened by our departure. At the thought of his two sisters' sobbing cry, the steambun's heart would promptly become uncomfortable. It's as if something was rubbing him in the wrong way with no way to stop it. The boy could confront death, but he couldn't confront the fear of making the girls in his family cry. Oh, right, there's also Annie Xiao Wan after she lost state teacher. If she loses all of us too, I can't even begin to imagine how she will live. At the end, Bai Xiaoqin's voice began to choke due to the strong emotions swelling forward. Out of reflex, he hugged Bai Yan's waist for comfort. Mother, I am scared. Scared of them crying and never being able to meet us again in the future. In this place of endless darkness, the boy had no means to see his mother's face or expression right now, only recognizing her presence through the aura. Father, what's happening with Mother? Why isn't she answering my question? Bai Xiaoqin tugged at Di Tsong's sleeve and asked with a pitiful voice. Di Tsong's hand tightened around his wife's waist, as well since he's not getting a good feeling about this either. We should find a way out of here first. But Bai Xiaoqin looks downward to where his feet should be. There's no way for them to climb upwards, nor a way to fall down again. They're only floating in this dark space. Xiaoqin, trust me, I will have a way to leave. Endless darkness, too. Bai Yin did not know how long she had been floating in the darkness. The only thing this demon queen wanted to do was open her eyes in desperation. Sadly, she couldn't. In fact, the lady couldn't even open her mouth to make squeak. No, I must not give up. I can't let Di Tsong and Xiaoqin worry about me like this. Thinking of this, Bai Yin clenched her hands into a ball until the pain gradually cleared her muddled state. She still couldn't speak or see, but having a clearer mind was better than nothing. Yenner, can you hear us? A man's muffled voice drifts over. Yes, I can hear you clearly. Bai Yin tried to shout out several times, but the voice only resonated in her heart and not outward. Yenner, whether you can hear us or not, me and Xiaoqin will be by your side, so don't worry. I will find a way to leave this darkness. No one could trap us. Di Tsong hugged her again, embracing that body so the woman wouldn't have the faintest chance of slipping away into the darkness. With a flutter of her eyelashes due to the physical contact, Bai Yin stopped struggling to open her eyes there. She may not be able to see him, but the intimacy was all the warmth she needed. Somewhere off in the bushes, Willow was covered in blood as she leaned against a tree trunk she found after her self-destructive act. In the end, I brought the destruction of the Hell Domain with my own hands. I let my anger swallow me. But it's okay. Even if I don't control a domain anymore and suffer for it, I can still rebuild. There's the demon realm. One day, I will make all of demonkind submit to me. Sure, Fu. Mo Xen Yin was shivering in a corner right now. Though afraid, the girl understood the only reason she's alive was that the monarch spared herself. Otherwise, she would never have escaped the fate that had befallen everyone else. Willow slowly opened her eyes at that voice, the gaze indifferent and cold, while watching Mo Xen Yin and Heart whom she spared. Compared with Mo Xen Yan's trembling appearance, Heart's was relatively calm for the situation. In fact, the old, ignorant, and innocent appearance was long gone, replaced by a squirming child that buried her head against the knee like she's locked herself off from the rest of the world. Mo Xen Yin, do you know you're wrong? Willow asked indifferently. Plop. Mo Xen Yin was so frightened that she immediately kneeled before the monarch, her face pale and panicking. Sure, Fu, I know my fault. Please forgive me for being ignorant and stupid. Slowly getting up with that condescending gaze, Willow sneered a smirk at the girl's cowardice. I said it before that you are not allowed to have ideas about him. To think you not only went after him, you also betrayed me for him? Endless darkness, 3. Mo Xian's sweat flowed without resistance along her forehead as the lady bit that pale lip. Sure, Fu. I didn't want to betray you. I just didn't want you to kill him. I was afraid that Shifu will regret it. Slowly closing her eyes, She waited a good while before opening them again after mustering up the courage in her voice. In my mind, Sherfu is like a mother, someone I hold dear. Yes, I admit I like Deet Song, but I only regard him as a father figure and didn't want him to die. That's all. Even now, Mo Exen Yin did not dare to admit her thoughts aloud for fear of retribution. Willow sneered and smugly smirked at the lying student. I don't care what you think or what your excuse is. From here on forward, you and Heart will only serve me. If I find out you violated my orders again, the consequences won't be so easy anymore, you understand? At this moment, Mo Exen Yin couldn't take her eyes off of that furious flame burning within the monarch's gaze. It's soul-piercing, sending her whole existence cowering with the head hanging low. Yes, sure, Fu. Your disciple understands. Get up. Willow waves her hand and forcibly dragged Mo Exen up. Mo Exen Yin, do you want to know where they all went? Willow narrowed her eyes at the sorry excuse of a disciple she had and asked this aloud, shaking the head without daring to look up. Your disciple don't want to know. Ha ha. Willow's smugness grew even bigger as she continued. The place where I pulled Heart from is a space where time stands still. In fact, it is the path separating the Hell Domain and the Demon Realm. I don't have any command over it, because it belongs to a powerful person from ancient times. That individual used to have a connection with the Demon Realm and knew my father at one point. The more she spoke, the more entranced the monarch seems to be by her past memories. It's because of that connection that I overheard his conversation with my father. I learned of that space's existence and built the Hell Domain behind it, preventing anyone from crossing over unless they want to be trapped inside. Stopping to gaze up into the pure, blue sky, Willow's eyes flickered with the light of remembrance and emotion. Then later, I by pure chance found a book left by that person. There were a lot of knowledge inside the texts, including the way to manipulate the space and turn it into a passage of ice and fire like you know today. It embodied my hatred for humanity. I thought that by doing so, I would be able to prevent the woman from coming to my domain in the future, but I didn't expect her to come anyways. Willow's cackling voice didn't carry any sinister note to it, but somehow it made Mo Exen Yin even more afraid than earlier. Exen Yin, tell me, what's so bad about your Sherfu here? Why did Deet Song always refuse me? It was as so before, and it is the same now, but no matter, I don't care anymore. If he won't accept me, then I won't let them have it any better, either. Willow's momentum instantly transformed after that statement, turning cold and murderous. The time inside there is a static, never changing and unmoving. They can't cultivate or leave, forever drifting in the darkness until they rot from within. Sure, Fu, wouldn't your decision be the same as letting them be together forever? Endless darkness, for so what? Willow mutely cackled and freaked the other side some more. They are in that place, which is equivalent to being isolated for eternity. Even if Bayin is still by his side, he can no longer interact with her anymore. Sure, Fu, please don't say more. I don't want to know anymore. Looking down at the ground, the Mo Exen Yin found her soul losing itself under this depressing reality. It's nothing like how she imagined her world to be. The Sherfu she idolized was an evil villain, and the bond they built up was nothing but a fragile glass that's been shattered. Almost everything thus far was a charade, an act that had no foundation. No, you should know. Willow flicked a finger to push her disciple's chin back up so their eyes would meet, because if you betray me again in the future, your place will be with them inside that darkness. I will have you drift endlessly in that state, never to step outside again. That warning instantly got the girl's attention, and not in the good way. Forever drifting in the dark? This feeling, it's even more painful than killing me. Of course, Willow continues to grin with teeth baring, but unlike before, her hands are brushing the girl's hair like petting an animal. It's unnerving like an evil witch watching her victim. If you are obedient and behave, I can overlook your past deeds. Mo Exen Yin gulped out of reflex over that statement. She's still extremely pale in the face and afraid, but the aching desire to know one out in the end. Sure, Fu, don't you like Deet Song a lot? Why are you? willing to let him stay there in that place. Willow narrowed her eyes in a snakish manner, examining the girl up and down with a new light before bursting out a laugh. Have you forgotten what I said to Deed Song and Bai Yin? I said I would never let them see each other again. That space is only a temporary cell for Deed Song. Once I recuperate my wounds and increase my powers again, I forcibly rip him from his wife's grasp. At that point, it will only be Bai Yin and that stinking brat left drifting for eternity. She couldn't give up on Deed Song. That kind of man, how could she ever erase him from her soul? So, the only course of action left was to chain the man in a temporary cell. When she has the confidence and power to do as she please, Willow would begin to move again and take what's hers. Sure, Fu. Xian pursed her lips until it hurts. I will not disobey you again. The girl's ashamed to admit it, but she's a coward. In front of her Shifu's terrifying stare, she simply didn't have any strength to resist. Not far away, Hart has been keeping her head down the entire time during the conversation. She's still traumatized from the stuff said by Xian about Willow. As such, the grief and sadness has overtaken the innocence in this poor child. She did nothing wrong in this life and never harmed a soul, but her existence was unloved and unwanted, just like her expendable object. Art, come here. Willow's eyes glanced slightly to the side and frowned after seeing how pitiful-looking the child was behaving. Hart stiffened at first, but then gradually loosened up before standing up. Step by step, she came before the monarch, the woman that's supposed to be her mother. Demon Realm Mother. Hart's voice sounded dead and unemotional as she stared into Willow's gaze, displeased by the way her daughter spoke. You also heard what I said to Xian. I will not permit betrayal. If you do, I won't let you off either. That statement brought more hurt to Hart's soul after already being traumatized. She wanted to be consoled, but it's nothing but pain. In the end, her entire body carried a shadow looming over it like some dark being has taken root. Oomph! Willow abruptly coughs out blood from her mouth there, right as she's about to say more. Sure, Fu. Xian's expression went pale at that sight. Quickly running up to the monarch, an undisguised level of worry appeared in the girl's eye. Sure, Fu. What's wrong? Your injury must not be healed yet. Sit down and rest first. I will go explore around while you do so. Dropping this, Xian turned around and wanted to leave. It's just that before the girl could move, Willow's voice had come again like a banshee's whisper. Not necessary. I'll be able to recover after a break, and then we'll get out of here together. She didn't trust Xian anymore, so letting the girl out of her sight was not permissible. Willow smugly smirked as she took a seat next to the old tree used by her own daughter. She may say a brief rest was enough, but the red stains on her clothes clearly said otherwise. On top of that, the bright burning sun was no friend of theirs either. Then have a good rest, Shifu. Shout for me if you need anything. I will be by your side. Xian's tone sounded concerned, but instantly changed back to harsh rudeness when shifting to Hart's depressing figure. What are you still sitting around for? Don't you see Shifu is injured? Hurry and get over here and see if you can do anything. At this moment, she seems to have forgotten the horror that Hart had initially brought to her and returned to the usual bullying demeanor. Hart lifelessly did as told and stepped over without so much as a peep. She's looking so depressing that it's hard for Willow to put up with now that they're like this. Don't assume the monarch would suddenly have a change of heart after Xian's betrayal. She understood this disciple of hers never once faked the concern shown thus far. It's just that she didn't want Deet Song to die, hence the betrayal. In contrast, her own biological daughter Hart was much colder and even dumb to some extent in not showing any emotional concern for her own injury. This was also why Willow didn't leave Xian behind. At the very least, she needs an extra hand to help run errands during this period, which Hart wouldn't be able to do. Hart. Willow's tightly furrowed forehead loosens up after a sigh. Although Xian did something wrong before, but I am willing to give her a second chance since she's capable of understanding her own fault. You need to learn from her in this regard. Hart was stunned at the lecture as she stammered for a response. Mother. Okay, you don't have to say anything more. Willow's voice lost any of the tenderness she had from yesterday and grew impatient. Go over there and stand watch. I need to spend this period healing my wounds, so don't let anyone or any animal to come disturb me. Demon Realm, too, okay. Heart didn't say more and returned to the spot where she was sitting before. This time she did not hang her head down, but instead began surveying the surrounding environment as told. Demon Realm. Di Ling, Yin sat on the edge of the demon mountain with her chin propped against her own hands, those eyes bored and longing. Suzaku, when will my mother and father come back? Now that even big brother is gone, it's only me and second brother left. The four sacred beasts were all standing behind the baby princess and became emotionally sad over her question. There's hardly any life around the palace as of late, so it's no wonder the atmosphere was depressing. Princess Suzuka, the red, flaming lady, squatted down and gently hugged the baby's body. You don't have to worry. Mistress and His Majesty will return soon, and your big brother, the Crown Prince, already left to bring them home. It won't be long until that day comes. The consoling words didn't work. Instead of making the baby girl peach up, she hung her head again between her legs like a depressed child. Suzaku, don't lie to me. The place where my mother and father went must be very dangerous for them to not return. I know they're risking their lives for me. If only I didn't have the flame bead inside my body. In this way, neither father nor mother would go to such a place. Tears slowly trickled down that cheek at the thought, causing Di Ling Yan's body to shrink further into a clump of sadness. Little princess, don't you believe in your family? The young-looking teen, that was little Rice the white tiger, walked up to the girl's side and patted her shoulder. I've been following mistress and young master from the beginning. Never have I seen them fail or suffer any losses. This time will be no different, I promise you that. Looking up with a weeping face, I believe in my family, but I still feel uncomfortable inside, like they won't come back. If it wasn't for that feeling in her heart, Di Ling Yan wouldn't be so sad, since it's always been like this for the baby princess. Whenever a bad omen occurs, bad things happens not long after. Suzaku, Little Rice, Black Turtle, Sing Yi, can you take me to find my mother? I also want to go to where they are. The Phoenix lady's heart ached with immense pain at that request. Princess, please be good. You are still too young to go anywhere. It's not the time for you to encroach on such a journey. Little Rice also wanted to say something after that miserable plea. However, he stopped after taking notice to the flash of light shooting over from the distance. Emoli Shang? Little Rice widens his eyes at the sight of the young man that appeared. He still had a great impression of this person who they picked up below the medicine sect that day. Normally, it would be a great occasion for the reunion, but this timing and location was leaving him on a wary note. Why? Did he come to the demon realm? Unlike White Tiger's perplexed thought, Suzaku's reaction was much more powerful. She's locked onto Mo Li Shang's figure and clenched that face in a manner of someone on high alert. Demon Realm 3. Black Turtle, what's wrong with you? Between the entrance and the reaction of the others, Sing Yi the Azure Dragon had unintentionally taken a glance to the guy who's holding his head tightly in the rear. His look was full of pain, as if some memory had been lost, unable to be recalled. Boom! Suddenly, a powerful internal explosion rocked Black Turtle's head, sending him into a stumble as he loses his balance from the shock. Then looking up, that gaze fell upon Mo Li Shang's figure that made him wrinkle his brow. He's trembling all over due to the sense of familiarity he got from the series of pictures flooding into his mind. At first the scenes were vague and unrecognizable, but gradually they became clearer with each passing second. A blood-colored battlefield with two opposing forces fighting. It's here that Black Turtle stood, sword after sword, corpse after corpse. He slayed the foes that crossed his path until a river of blood stained the dirt. He was unstoppable in this flicker of the past. However, right when he thought the battle was coming to an end in his favor, a sword suddenly thrusts into his back and out the chest. He couldn't believe this outcome, right when he's about to overcome the ordeal. Slowly turning his head to see who dares, Black Turtle's view landed on the teenager's face whom he trusted all along. Why? Would it be him? Demon Mountain. The teenager had slowly descended to the ground by this point and stood before Suzaku. This is something Yin asked me to bring to you. In the palm of the teen's hand was a blue stone that emitted a faint glow. Suzaku quivered in the lips at the recognition of this object. Her throat wanted to make a sound, but a rock had lumped itself into the vocals stop any words to come through. Suzaku, Black Turtle, what's wrong with the both of you? Little Rice scratched the back of his head and asked in a confused manner, Do you know Emoli Shang? No matter how blind one was, even the tiger boy could feel the awkward and eerie atmosphere in the air. Abruptly and out of the blue, Black Turtle attacked. Emoli Shang did not resist, nor did he try in the slightest at the impending punch to his chest. This resulted in a critical blow, blasting right into his soul to cause incredible damage. Blood slowly trickled down the corner of that lip. I'm going to kill you. Black Turtle saw red, the killing intent pouring out of those eyes as his aura enveloped the entire mountain. Suzaku was stunned by this abrupt turn of event and swiftly recalled something in the past. It's back when Black Turtle first returned to their side. The man had confided in her the reason for his death in the past, and that was a betrayal of an acquaintance they knew. Unfortunately, couldn't remember who exactly this person was, so the subject was dropped for a while until today. Emoli Shang, did you do it? Her fists clenched into a ball, and an indescribable anger surged from the chest as she narrowed the gap between her face and the lad's. Did you kill Black Turtle back then? Little Rice instantly turned dumbfounded at what he heard. Emoli Shang killed Black Turtle? How can this be? Emoli Shang can be considered the younger brother of the mistress. If she learns of the murderer being him, what will mistress do? I'm not going to hurt her. Demon Realm, for moments later, Emoli Shang finally raised his pale face to meet Suzaku's accusing stare. I wouldn't hurt her. I would never hurt her. Ha ha ha. Suzaku laughed wildly, her voice filled with madness and anger. You said that you would not hurt mistress, but you killed Black Turtle, and he is someone precious to her. So what difference is there? Her anger had already surged out of her chest, leaving her with nothing but rage at the young teen. I can't say anything now, but know that I would never hurt her, never. That said, Emoli Shang lowers his line of sight in a manner of someone constrained. Emoli Shang. Little Rice's handsome face grew ferocious with his fangs extending out of his mouth. He wants to rip the guy apart after learning of the deception. I will only ask you this one time. Is what Suzaku said true? Did you really kill Black Turtle back then? Silence. And that's all the answer the tiger needed. Ha ha. Little Rice laughs wildly, the joy devoid from his voice. You claim to have lost all your memory when mistress found you along the road, so you were deceiving us right from the beginning, and now you claim to be on her side still? Closing his eyes, a surge of regret filled the tiger's heart for being so foolish. If mistress and little master finds out, they will definitely be heartbroken. Mistress trusts you so much. Why do you treat her like this? I don't believe it. You couldn't have appeared before her without purpose in the first place. You killed Black Turtle once, and that's equivalent to hurting mistress. Us four will never forgive you. Emoli Shang's body visibly shuddered, watching the hateful eyes shot in his way. The young man's complexion grew extremely white, for he knows the future holds nothing but pain. I'm only here to give you the divine waterstone on Yin Yan's behalf. Shut up, Little Rice roars. You are not qualified to call my mistress by her name, nor are you qualified to have her trust. If I had known you betrayed her in the past, then I would have done everything to stop you from approaching us. Visibly hurt from that statement, Emoli Shang didn't back down and met the tiger boy's gaze with his own pure and untainted eyes. I didn't betray her, and I didn't take advantage of her. Little Rice sneered over that remark, not believing the other guy in the slightest. Sing E the Azure Dragon finally grasped the situation by now. She's the one with the least information among the four of them, so her hostility didn't quite show yet. But now, the dragoness was brewing up a storm around her figure. I just came to deliver the divine waterstone. Emoli Shang walked closer towards Suzaku and placed the stone into the lady's palm. I promised Yin Yin to pass this onto your hand. It can help Ling Yin. That's why he came, even if it meant exposing the past. for a promise to that woman. This young man won't regret it. Though resentful, Suzaku didn't reject the water stone. She knows all too well the importance of this item to the princess. Heartache. 1. Suzaku had great difficulty in keeping the stone from dropping out of her hand. It's not that the thing's heavy, but what it implied for taking it. A gift from an enemy, a traitor, that's what makes it so heavy. Emoli Shang. Since you are done with your task, you can scram now. When Mistress returns, I will let her know what you've done and settle the account with you. Today's demon realm could hardly be called peaceful. If the four of them must engage in a battle with this man, it's unlikely they could come out on top. What's more, the most important thing wasn't revenge, but the protection of the remaining royal family members. That meant Jin Tian and Ling Yin, who had no ability of their own. Mo Li Shang didn't utter a single word of defense for himself from beginning to end, but the way he spoke and the way he moved said there's another side to the story. Okay. That said, he didn't look back and begun floating towards the blood-colored sky. Wait. Suddenly, a crisp, bell-like chime came from the rear, making the guy stop mid-flight. Di Ling Yin had walked over after hearing their conversation. Princess. Suzaku and the others were terrified at this and reached out, wanting to pull the girl back to their side. However, the pure and untainted eyes from the princess stopped them. It's too innocent and without darkness that the four didn't know how to react. Are you really not going to hurt Mother? Di Ling Yan's smile was hopeful and without doubt when asking. Floating there for a good moment before he spoke, the guy's voice was equally as pure and kind. I will never hurt her. Then have you seen my father and mother? The smile gradually disappears from the princess as her face grew frustrated. I miss them so much. When will they come back? Mo Li Shang's heart instantly ached with pain after hearing the saddening plea. Slowly closing his eyes, he recalls back to the moment where he saw that family being devoured by the darkness in the Hell Domain. They'll be back soon. After half a ring, he leans down and pats the child's head in a reassuring manner. Of course, this was done under the wary gaze of the four sacred beasts. If he had so much given a flicker of intent to hurt the princess, then they would have attacked and separated the two in an instant. Pouting in her little face, the pipsqueak didn't buy it. Uncle, you are deceiving Ling Yan. I'm not stupid. I can sense Mother and Father is at a very distant place. I'm scared they will not be able to come back for a long time. Mo Li Shang didn't know what he could say in this situation. The girl hit the bullseye with that guess. Uncle, can you tell me where Mother went? Suzaku and the others won't let me go find them. Mo Li Shang smiled slightly. They went to a place called the Hell Domain. Mo Li Shang. Suzaku's face changed. I shouldn't have let the princess touch this bastard. And this bastard actually revealed where Bai Yin went. What if the princess she? Thinking of this, Suzaku felt flustered and wanted to stop the guy, but what Mo Li Shang said next stunned everyone in their tracks. So, unfortunately, the Hell Domain is gone now, and your father and mother has gone to a whole new place that even I don't know of. But don't worry, I'm sure they will return very soon. Heartache, too. The Hell Domain disappeared. Suzaku's body grew unstable as she found it difficult to stand. There's an uncontrollable sense of panic gripping the Phoenix Lady's face. If the Hell Domain disappeared then, where did Mistress and the King go? You are lying. Little Rice roared and runs up to Mo Li Shang's presence and grabbed at his collar. Mo Li Shang, you are a despicable liar. You think your story can deceive us. If the Hell Domain disappeared then, why wouldn't the King and Mistress come back to us? An entire domain's destruction? That's something so big that the four sacred beasts couldn't even begin to fathom or imagine. Mo Li Shang didn't rebuke the insult. Instead, he lowered his eyes with sadness. He knew this would happen if he had spoken the truth. Not only that, the entire demon realm too would fall into shock for the next while, making the situation even more unstable. I saw it with my own eyes. The darkness swallowed the entire hell realm and no longer exists. That's why Yin Yin entrusted me with bringing back the divine Waterstone. She wanted to make sure her daughter is safe by suppressing the flame inside her body. His words were piercing, causing the white tiger to freeze into a statue. Did they really disappear? Little Rice's grip around the guy's collar fell apart as he trembled from the terrible news. He didn't want to believe, but found no other excuse to say otherwise. You liar. You must be lying to me. You're a big liar. Little Rice. Sing Yi's complexion wasn't so good either, but she had more fortitude to withstand this shocking blow. First running up to give the poor tiger a hug, so he would calm down. Are you sure the Hell Domain disappeared? Then Mistress and the King. They're still alive. I can feel it. They're still alive. Mo Li Shang smiled. Yin Yin wouldn't die so easily. She will definitely come back. It was his belief in her that convinced him to leave that day. Otherwise, he too would have stayed and refused to leave. You get lost. Black Turtle snorted coldly and want to punch the guy even more right now. In the future, you are not allowed to take one step into the demon realm. Otherwise, I will kill you before the day Mistress returns. You won't forgive this guy, not ever. The only reason Black Turtle's forestalling his revenge was for Bai Yan's sake. Aside from that, he would have torn the guy to shreds 1,000,000 times over. Moments later, Mo Li Shang finally disappeared into the horizon. Princess Suzuka quickly rushed up to Di Ling Yin and hugged the baby tightly to make sure nothing's wrong with her. That guy isn't a good person. You mustn't approach him again in the future. Do you understand? Why? Di Ling Yin gently purses her lips and didn't understand the reason. Isn't he a friend of Mother? If he is, there might be a misunderstanding between him and Black Turtle. Heartache, so I can stand it. Di Ling Yin wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and made a firm face to avoid showing scared she actually was inside. Go ahead, Suzu. This divine water stone was brought back thanks to the efforts of her father. As such, she must endure this little trial. Her mother was waiting, and like a good daughter, it's only right she do her part. Song involuntarily furrowed her brow up over this sight. She's feeling rather useless ever since she came to the demon realm from the heavenly flame domain. Aside from eating and sleeping, what else has this once ailing girl done? Nothing, that's what. Song. Jean Tian, the little glutton, toddles over from the back with a snack still flinging around in his hand. When the boy saw his twin sister tearing up, he immediately became stunned and asked the dragoness, "What's happening with Ling Yin? She looks to be in so much pain." Why? Is it because she is hungry? Unable to bear the uncomfortable feeling, Jean Tian tightly gripped the snack against his chest and wanted to run up and help despite not knowing what was wrong. What are you going to do? Song widened her eyes in shock and hurriedly grabbed the boy back. Ling Yin is crying. She is crying. Jean Tian cries out for his sister and grows sobby. Woo, I'm going to go to my sister's side. Your sister's body encountered some problem, so Suzaku is helping her solve it. You can't go over there right now, otherwise it will disturb the process. Having said that, Song glances back over to her friend, who's already looking rather white in the face. This only made the older girl more worried, as she too wanted to run up and help. But my sister keeps crying. Jean Tian sobs and starts hiccuping. It's only right that I keep her company since she's hurt. Don't assume the little glutton was clueless and rude because he likes to steal his twin sister's snack. He cares a lot about the pipsqueak, just that he doesn't show it often out in the open. Turning around, Jean Tian didn't give the slightly older girl to stop him this time and ran towards his twin sister. Shaking her head helplessly, Song knew her words were useless now. In the end, she could only follow from behind in silence and wait. Demon Mountain. The water stone in Suzuka's palm had gradually disappeared into Ling Yan's chest by this point, and, as a consequence, the baby's chest had become soaked in sweat due to the ordeal. We're done now. She finally breathed a sigh of relief and slowly withdrew her hand. Only now did Suzaku realize her hand had gone numb during the treatment. She's been so nervous that she never dared to move an inch of her fingers. Thus the reason why it took so long for her to notice the tingling numbness. Likewise, Di Ling Yin also became overly tired and tumbled backward. Thankfully, Tsing, the dragoness, caught the child in time. Is it over? Di Ling Yin takes a peep by popping one of her closed eyelids before looking up with that palish contour. Suzuka nodded. We've succeeded, princess. That's good then, she smiles brightly. Afterward, I will grow stronger and stronger and until my cultivation lets me find mother on my own. At the end, the little sweet bun started to whimper out with a tear river flowing out. The man inside the cave, if it weren't for the sake of finding Bai Yin, perhaps. Di Ling, Yin would never have been able to withstand the pain at all. It was precisely because of her attachment to her own mother that the baby princess could be so strong. Ling Yin, Jin Tian, the little glutton, quickly toddled over and reached over with his hands to check on his twin sister. Don't cry, okay? I brought you all the good food. It's all for you. His eyes became filled with longing at the delicacies in his possession, but still stuffed it into his sitter's hand. Woohoo! Ling Yin was still whimpering, and the tears had soaked the ground in front. Getting upset and helpless, Jin Tian quickly turns to the Phoenix Lady for help on how to comfort his twin sister. Little prince, Sisika touched the glutton's head, your sister just endured an incredible amount of pain in her body. It's okay for her to cry. Let her rest, and she will slowly come back to normal. Not quite understanding why, Jin Tian tilts his head and glances back and forth between the two girls until he finally stops at the sister. Reaching over with a hand, he stroked Di Ling Yan's hair like a good older brother for once. Linger, don't cry. Brother will be here with you. If someone hurts you in the future, brother will beat them for you. Okay? Don't cry. He didn't know exactly what happened to his twin sister, but he did know something was wrong with Ling Yin and that Suzaku needed to remedy it. Woo! Throwing herself into Jin Tian's arms as she continued to weep, her tears and snot rubbed all over his clothes. I miss father, mother, and big brother. Blinking his eyes in confusion, the little glutton didn't understand why she's so sad. Didn't father and mother go out to play? They will be back very soon. Until then, I will look after you. Suzaku did not tell the two kids where Bai Yin and Ditsong went, so they assumed the parents went out on a trip. Unfortunately, Di Ling Yin was too sharp and caught on with her clever head after Bai Xiaqin's departure. Slightly calmer now after the cry. It's okay. I am fine now, second brother. Soon, I will go find them myself after growing as strong as big brother. Jin Tian scratched the back of his head and turned to look at Suzaku, his big eyes showing doubt and obviously not knowing what his sister meant by those words. It's just that, whenever he sees the pipsqueak's tear, the boy would instantly tense up and feel uncomfortable inside. Sister song. When Di Ling Yin turned her head, the once ailing girl from the heavenly domain had already walked behind her brother. I'm fine. Don't worry. Actually, I'm very happy. This way, I not only lifted the danger hidden within my body, I can also grow stronger at a faster rate. I'll be able to help everyone fight the bad guys together. Upon remembering what had happened to her to be uncle, Di Ling Yan's heart would unconsciously feel a surge of sadness welling up. But more than that, the emotion of anger over state teacher's death was the biggest. Everything's going to be fine now. Suzuka wiped the sweat from her forehead due to the fatigue and turned to her companions. I need to go rest first. You three take care of the princess and prince while I'm asleep. The man inside the cave, too. After these words fell, Suzaku took one last look at the gathered people and headed straight for her abode up at the peak. Inside the lightless cave, the man who caused most of this problem raised his head slightly and burst into a brilliant grin. He's the only life here, but with those chains restraining him, the guy might as well have been dead. Divine water stone. Suddenly, a sneer came from the man's mouth as an eerie glow flickered within those eyes. It seems that the little girl's parents are indeed extraordinary. Even the divine water stone has been found by them. He clicked his tongue and grew devilishly sexier by the second. But no matter, it will be interesting to know how that girl will grow up into. Maybe my escape from this place will be entirely on her. Time flowed quickly like the water in a river stream. Since the day Di Tsong and Bai Yin left their home, 2 years had transpired with the world mostly at peace. Aside from the occasional attacks, pointed to the celestial realm by some strange force, there's not much to note. If only there was never a Yun Ruo Shi to begin with. One of the keepers groaned and uttered these words. Since the day when the truth came forward, Chu Igad had disappeared for good from the eyes of the public, and since the strongest keepers were dead as well, no one could fight against the attackers. Keeper Yellow appears lost and dejected before speaking. Actually, this is not entirely to blame on that woman. We were also too stupid, getting deceived repeatedly by such obvious lies. If not for that, our Lord wouldn't have left us, and the celestial realm wouldn't be in this crisis. Over the years since the battle outside the city with Bai Yin, the surviving keepers had filtered through the past events in their heads and soon realized how many times they omitted the obvious signs. Even though Yin Ruo, she had ill intentions and lied. What would it matter if they themselves didn't believe her? In the end, half the fault lies with themselves who brought about this tragedy. There were prophecies back then about the celestial realm being overthrown, and now it seems the culprit is starting to show itself in the shadows. But who could be responsible for this calamity? The gray-robed keeper slowly closed his eyes in frustration, that fist trembling due to their own inability. Did the Celestial Palace really do wrong? No, we're not wrong. We've done everything for the sake of the world, kept the peace in order. How can we be wrong? If there's one to be at fault, it would be Yin Ruo Shi for her deception. She not only deceived us, she also gave Bai Yin those painful wounds. Just as Keeper Yellow was about to say something, a faint chuckle came from the front and caused them to stiffen up. It's a familiar voice whom they all recognized. Sure enough, a woman gradually materialized into existence from above. The man inside the cave, 3. The woman's figure gradually descends from the air and lands before the old seniors huddling before the bonfire. She's flawless in the face without a single scar ever being there. Yun Ruo Shi. The name made everyone present grit their teeth in burning hatred. It's been a long time, keepers. Yin Ruo Shi snickers a smirk as she slowly came before the seniors, but it seemed there are a lot less of you compared to the last time we met. What happened to Keeper Ling and Keeper Zun? Where did those two go? Let me guess they died by Bai Yan's hand? Keeper Yellow almost couldn't breathe due to the nonchalant attitude of the old witch. In his mind, this was the greatest insult the woman could do after all the crimes she's committed thus far. If it weren't for Yun Ruo Shi, then how could Keeper Ling and Keeper Zun die? If it weren't for Yun Ruo, then how could the celestial realm fall into this decrepit state? All this is due to this woman, and now she dares to hold everyone in contempt? What? After she killed your fellow brothers and sisters, you still won't get revenge on her? Yun Ruo Shi's cheekiness was irritated to say the least because it's full of contempt in her attitude. Or do you not have the courage and become cowards? Keeper Yellow huffs a grunt and retorts. And whose fault is it that we've come to this stage? It's all because we believed in your lies. We won't make that mistake again, so you can keep your swindling words to yourself. No one here will believe anything you say. A cold glow flashed within the old witch's eye. These people don't even hate Bai Yin. If it weren't for Bai Yin, the Celestial Palace wouldn't suffer such catastrophic damage, nor would they be unable to return to their home. So why don't they hate her? Do not pin the blame on me, Keeper Yellow. I said so before. Bai Yan's existence will bring disaster to the celestial realm. Look at how things are now. How am I wrong about her and the demon realm? Another burly-looking keeper cuts in with annoyance in his voice. If the demon realm wanted to destroy the celestial realm, then they would have done so already. How are you right about her being the cause? And why not? The old witch makes it sound regrettable about what she's about to say. I don't mind telling you all the truth. The recent attacks on the celestial realm were done by my orders. I've reached the peak level of the divine Lord level now. Even if Bai Yin and Ditsong comes here, they're no match for me anymore. Peak level of the divine Lord? The crowd's eyes widened in shock, their gaze showing incredulous at the old witch's figure. They are well aware of Yun Ruo Shi's cultivation before. Forget about the terrible speed grew at. The old witch was clearly abolished that day by Yan's hand. Even if she did have talent, which she didn't, how could she revive her cultivation? On top of that, how could someone make such breakthroughs in a measly few years? So, Yin Run Shi's grin deepens. The reason the celestial realm will have such an end is all because of Bai Yin. If not for her, you keepers wouldn't be faced with such a misfortune, and without her, I wouldn't come to the point of wanting to destroy this realm. This is all because of her. She's the cause of all this. Ha ha ha. She laughed wildly, as if her logic was the perfect way of interpreting the crime she committed. The man inside the cave, for Yin Ruashi, you are crazy. This woman has completely gone insane with jealousy. I'm not crazy. Yin Ruashi, she regained control of her laugh and turned it into hatred in those eyes. I am just stating a fact. If the celestial realm is destroyed, there's only one person you can hate, and that is Bai Yin. She is the sinner for eternity and should go down in history with infamy. Keeper Yellow and the others couldn't take this madness and distance themselves from the old witch. It's too overwhelming. If they didn't do this, the keepers feared they might get infected at this rate. Keeper Yellow, tell me, where did that crazy old coot run off to? She coldly asks. You mean by Zine? Keeper Yellow frowned. Yes, in this celestial realm. He is the only one Bai Yin cares about. I will make her feel regret and misery for the rest of her remaining life. Yin Ruo, she gritted her teeth to the point it's making a grating sound. If it weren't for the monarch not letting her go to the demon realm, the old witch would have already gone to the demon realm and settled the score with the demon queen. Bai Zine disappeared after the events of that year, so I don't know where he went. Keeper Yellow smirks derisively. If you want to find him, then I'm afraid that's not possible. He is unlikely to be in the celestial realm anymore, and the world is so big. Who knows where he went? Yin Ruo, she's eyes flashed a cold glow as she pinned the keeper with her gaze. You really don't know where that crazy old man went? Bai Yan's adopted grandfather always looked down at her before he went crazy, and no matter how hard the old witch tried to become the man's apprentice, he would refuse. As the strongest keeper back in the day, such a rejection was equivalent to a death sentence for Yin Ruo, since it proved her talent to be inferior. Ho-ho, the burly keeper sneered. That old coot hates the celestial palace to the core. Do you think he would tell us about his whereabouts? Yin Ruo, you can stop trying to swindle us. None of us holds any grudge towards Bai Yin, only regret for what we've done. If you are her enemy, you will definitely face a fate more miserable than death. Ha ha ha. After Yin Ruo, she heard this. She couldn't help but laugh wildly. It's filled with disdain and ridicule. I remember that before Bai Yan's strength had just broken through to the Divine Lord level, and now it's only been 2 years. You think she can reach the same height as I? I'm already at the peak of this world. Why would I fear anyone? So, why do you people still think I'm going to lose to Bai Yin? Yin Ruo, she admits, with the backing of Heavenly Flame and Deet Song, she's no match for the three combined. However, once those two men are out of the equation, who could protect that woman anymore? The old burly keeper sneered again and didn't bother arguing. He doesn't know what happens to give the old witch this incredible power, but experience has told him. Even if Yin Ruo, she continues to grow, she would never defeat Bai Yin. That person always returns stronger, no matter the foe. 2 years when I didn't come here today to kill you, Yellow. I want you to watch the collapse of the celestial realm and die in despair. The corner of Yin Ruo, she's lips ticked upwards into a provoking curvature that left others grinding their teeth. Her very existence was annoying, but none could do anything to her at this point. Don't hate me. If you want to hate, then hate Bai Yin. From now on, I will have the celestial realm cease to exist. Every time Yin Ruo, she said one more word, Keeper Yellow and the others' hearts would shudder some more. Nevertheless, they understood the woman now stood at a height they could never reach or drag back down. You will not have a good ending, Yin Ruo. You are Bai Yan's enemy, and your fate will not be any better than ours. The burly keeper laughed wildly. Losing all composure he managed to maintain thus far. No matter how high you climb in the future, your fall will be equally as bad. By then, you will join us in the depths of hell for the crimes you've committed. The most intolerable thing for Yin Ruo in this life was someone comparing herself to Bai Yin. As such, the murderous rage instantly exploded out of the witch's face. Humph! Originally, I still wanted to let you witness the celestial realm's destruction, but now it seems that's no longer needed. Boom! As soon as she waved her hand, a force surged out and instantly slashed at the chest of the old burly man. Blood oozed from his chest, and stained the robe as a result, leaving only a resentful corpse in her wake. Whoever says one more word, then this is the result. The old witch smugly smirks at the remaining keepers who are growing more outraged by the second. Power corrupts a person. In the past, she had to rely on these old fools to survive in this world, but not anymore. She now wields authority far beyond a keeper, and the lady would never let that go. Miss Ruashi, it's getting late already. We should head back. An old man had already come behind the old witch and calmly reminded her. Yin Ruaw, she frowned slightly, but did not pay attention to the newcomer. Sweeping her gaze over the keepers, she speaks in a smug voice. Of course, out of consideration for the years of friendship we had, I'm willing to offer a path to salvation. As long as you kneel and beg me, I will overlook today's transgression and let you serve by my side. Dream on. Keeper Yellow's eyes erupted with rage and hate. Yin Ruaw, she cackled maliciously. Then don't blame me for being ruthless. I've already given you all the chance. Elder Wu, let's go. These fools can rot in this place along with the rest of the celestial realm. Once alone again, Keeper Yellow, what should we do now? The other keepers timidly asks with nervousness. Closing his eyes for a moment, Yellow inhales deeply before answering. No matter what, the denizens of the celestial realm will never succumb to her tyranny. 2 years, too. In a sea of flowers hidden away at an isolated area of the Frost Domain, the ruler stared deeply into the horizon due to the thoughts running through his head. Willow, if I hadn't left your side back then, perhaps you wouldn't have died. I will get revenge on those who caused your death. They will pay dearly for what they've done. Closing his eyes, the girl's pretty and delicate smile surfaces in his mind like a vivid scene from the movies, causing that heart to stir wildly in love. 10,000 years. She has been gone for 10,000 years, and in those 10,000 years, I can never forget you. Once I leave this domain, I will make them all pay. With that thought in mind, the man shot open his eyes and plucked a flower from the ground. Taking a whiff, he began to imagine that wondrous love he so dearly desired to be at his side again. He couldn't help but smile again at those happy memories of his youth. Willow, if you really like Deet Song, then I will bring his body to your tombstone. He can accompany you that way for what he's done. I've sworn to always hold you dearest to my heart, so even if it means putting that scum next to you, I won't mind. Even if he loves Willow deeply, the guy's willing to fulfill her desires regardless of what they are, even if that meant hurting himself in the process. Who? Suddenly, a movement from the rear caused him to lapse back to reality. In a flash, he reappears in front of the intruder. Yin Ruaw, she naturally froze, her complexion pale and shocked at the sudden interaction. Monarch. Monarch Frost's eyes got cold and fierce, scraping against the woman's nerve with every prolonged second of this intimating glare. Who allowed you to enter this place? He growls menacingly. Yin Ruaw, it seems you are getting overly confident due to me spoiling your antics. Now you dare ignore my commands as well? Yin Ruaw, she's body visibly shivered over that statement, her head shrinking in fear. Monarch, In the woman's mind, her existence must be special in the eye of the monarch. After all, not only did he save her and help boost her powers to this new height, the guy also allowed her to return to the celestial realm. But now, that statement had entirely shattered the illusion. Frost's momentum grew even more fierce, causing a storm to form overhead. Just what? This garden is forbidden to everyone. The mere fact that you came in here is a crime. Your very existence is polluting the same air my precious Willow is in. Willow. Yin Ruaw, she's heart felt stung after hearing that name again. She's tearing up and felt miserable at being second fiddle to this name. So this garden is meant for that Willow? She murmurs, the resentment hidden underneath the weeping sob. My Willow is the most outstanding woman under the heavens. Not only this garden, but the entire domain was created for her sake. I created this world for her. Frost's voice grew cold and frightening. Do you know why I am reluctant to destroy the domain and leave? It's these flowers. They were all personally planted by my precious Willow. Even her final resting place is here. 2 years, 3. Every word from the man came down with a hammer, causing immense pain and damage to that soul of this old witch. Then, monarch, what am I to you? Yin Ruo, she asks, her eyes growing grimmer by the second. You? Frost brought a finger up to the woman's chin to raise her line of sight up to his own. You are not even worth cleaning her shoes. If you obey and remain in the estate, then I won't mind giving you all the indulgences of the world. But you never should have come into the flower garden. I won't let anyone insult my willow. Due to the strength used by the man, the pain had started to grow on her, which in kind made the tears and emotions flow out. Bang! Without indication, Frost flicked his raised hand and blew the woman off until she crashed and landed onto a path outside the garden. All of this never once damaged the flowers here, showing how much this place represented in the man's heart. Monarch, raising her head, the old witch wanted to beg for mercy until she saw that threatening man drawing closer and closer. Out of panic, she squirmed backward out of reflex. Yin Ruo, you deserve to die for your sins. Rumble. Frost moved again, sending a force so strong this time that it made the old witch shoot out a stream of blood in her wake from the impact. I know my fault. I really know my fault. Please, monarch, please forgive me this one time. I won't ever dare again. There's no illusion the man would kill her. Those murderous eyes are too real without a hint of fogginess in them. Unfazed by the pleading, Frost grabbed the wretched woman off from the dirt by the collar and raised her up to eye level. Yin Ruo, everything you have today is given by me. If I can bestow upon the strength you have, then I can take it away equally as easy. Do not test me. I won't mind returning you to the past and personally handing you over to the demon realm. I'm sure they would love to get their hands on you. If it weren't for the celestial heart, he never would have kept this woman alive. After all, anyone who dares to intrude upon his precious flower garden doesn't deserve to exist. Yin Ruo, she bit her lip so tightly there that it started to bleed. She's resentful but fearful at the same time, the latter being the dominant emotion. Returning to the past was something she could never afford. Also, don't be delusional and compare yourself with my willow. The man seemingly brought up the picture of that bright and delicate woman again in his mind, thus causing his stern expression to soften up. She is different from you. Your kindness is a disguise, while her good is true and genuine. I once saw her risk her own life to save a pup. In that moment, that smile was so bright and beautiful that I could never forget. I swore from that day forward I would safeguard that light. 2 years before encountering Willow, Frost never thought he would fall in love with a woman at first sight. Unfortunately, the woman he likes only has an eye for another man. He wants to protect her smile and happiness, and he wants to help her get the man. Unexpectedly, their plan failed, and Willow ended up getting drunk and sleeping with him. If Willow didn't take the initiative, then Frost wouldn't have violated her. But as a normal man, how could he control that desire in the face of his love? So that's why things that shouldn't have occurred happened. Frost closed his eyes, and what came to his mind at this moment was the figure of Willow angrily departing. Back then, he tried to step forward and pull her into his arms to stop it, but in the end, he couldn't do it and allowed that tragedy to transpire. It's their last and final farewell. When he opened his eyes again, Frost's killing intent had now grown so intense that it's manifested into a cold glint. Monarch, I really know I'm wrong. I won't dare to do it again. Yin Ruo, she's little face had gone deathly white, the fear fully apparent in that trembling voice. In the past 2 years, the old witch never truly got over Chewy God. After all, that man was someone she crushed on for 1,000 years. There's no way her emotions could just be wiped away like that. However, the heart was a mysterious thing. After repeated kind gestures and misunderstandings, Yin Ruo, she had believed Monarch Frost truly liked her, thus slowly winning her heart over. But now, that swaying heart was once again crushed under those hurtful words, thus waking her up from that dream. Scram! Frost coldly snaps, throwing the woman's body out again for the 3rd time with a flick of a finger. Yin Ruo, she couldn't resist at all under that omnipotent strength. Crashing into a puddle of mud, She painfully coughs up more blood while scurrying away for safety. Frost didn't pity the woman in the slightest as he retracted his attention. He only has the flower garden in his mind. Willow, this piece of pure land was given to me by your own hand, so I won't let anyone come pollute it. After escaping the garden, Yun Ruo, she eventually stopped behind a boulder to regain her breath. She's resentful and felt her blood boiling while staring off into the distant flower field. Why? Why should I bend my back just to plead for a shred of power and status? Bai never had to do anything for hers. Yun Ruo, she's heart flared with jealousy. She married the king of the demon realm, and the lord of the celestial realm loves her. She is everything that I don't have. Why is it always like this? I do everything just to get a shred of dignity, yet others can have everything just because they were born with a golden spoon? 2 years, 5. Bai Yin, I will surpass you. Even if my background is not as good as yours, but I will crush you with my strength. I will crush all your pride and make you kneel on the ground to me. The anger in Yun Ruo Shi's heart had already made her entire existence corrupted. Without looking back in the direction of the flower garden, the old witch turned away and disappeared off into the afternoon sun. There's determination and conviction in her eyes. Flower garden. Frost had one hand behind his back as he strolled through the predetermined path. Willow, wait for me. I have found a way to break the sea. Once I do, I can finally avenge you. I will make those who have hurt you pay the price one by one. A cold glow flashed from Frost's eyes as he looked up to the blue sky. Slowly turning around, he walked in the direction and where he came from after that internal vow. In the elder's wing of the Monarch Manor, many seniors were already sitting in wait for the lord and master of this domain. When they saw the guy step through the door, they immediately stood up to make a respectful bow. Monarch, you are here. Still cold in his eyes, Frost nodded indifferently. What happened to the things I ordered you all to do? Rest assured, Monarch, we have already brought you what you want. When do you wish to start? Back then, Heavenly sealed all the domains using his own flesh and body as the eye. So, to break it means finding the body and destroying it. That took more than 10,000 years, but now he's done it. At the beginning, I thought Heavenly's body would be hidden within a domain, so I've scoured every domain I could find. But I never thought he would have the gals to hide his body within the celestial realm. A cold glow flashed in Frost's eyes as he continued. But no matter, nothing can stop me anymore. The time is upon us, my dear elders. Advance to the celestial realm and crush that wretched body once and for all. Yes, Monarch, the Heavenly Flame domain. In the study, Heavenly sat hovering in front of his desk as the faint glow of the energy circulating around his body. He's trying to make a breakthrough, but the sweat on his forehead says it's not going well. Husband, are things going smoothly? Bai Ning stood beside her husband and appeared worried. She's nervous and concerned for his well-being. Halfway through, the man suddenly shot open his eyes and took a blow to his internal organs. I've failed again. The guy makes a bittersweet smile as he activates his power for recovery. Even though he had returned after regaining his memory, the strength he held during his prime state hasn't. If he doesn't make a breakthrough, then he won't be able to leave the domain. You don't have to rush. Take your time. Bai Ning took out a handkerchief and gently wiped the sweat from his forehead. Ninger, Heavenly grabs onto his wife's hand and smiles warmly. I know your meaning, but recently I've been getting this restless feeling lately. I don't know what, but my instinct is telling me something big is about to happen. On top of that, the seal around the other domains is weakening. If I don't improve my powers soon, something terrible might happen. 2 years, 6. He only needed 1 foot into the next stage to enter the true celestial level. At that point, the seal he created would be useless and could no longer trap him. Yin Feng, is there something you're not telling me? Bai Ning's eyebrows slightly furrowed as she questioned her husband. When I sealed all the major domains, I used my body as the medium. That's why I never told you, or Yinner. As long as those people find my previous body, they will be able to break the seal. Heavenly's face grew grim after bringing up the topic. It's a shame. My powers were limited back then, so the best I could do was seal those monarchs. The sealing technique he knew 10,000 years ago was an incomplete product. It's only capable of sealing certain individuals' soul. That's to say, he sealed the monarchs and nothing more. To achieve such a feat, he had fought against every monarch he knew to collect a part of their souls. Then by infusing that fragment into his own body, the guy created a perennial spell that's tuned specifically to those monarchs. As for the rest of the population in the domains, they're unrelated, hence their ability to leave and enter as they pleased. Likewise, the seal also affects Heavenly himself since his body acted as the eye for the spell. If he had forcibly shattered the spell using brute strength right now, who would defend the main worlds? He's not a true celestial anymore. That meant the monarchs would go on a rampage like in the past. Bai Ning's face turned pale. You mean if those people managed to find your former body, then they would be able to break the seal? Yes, said Heavenly with a bittersweet smile. To hide my flesh back then, I deliberately hid it at a corner of the celestial realm. But after so long, even I don't know where my former body is anymore. Yin Feng. Bai Ning nervously grasped onto the man's sleeve as the pacing of her breath grew faster. Does this mean Yin'er and Di Song will be in trouble if those people can leave the domains? She hadn't forgotten their daughter also had enemies in the domains. If those monarchs could escape the seal and come out, the consequences would be dire. I'm leaving the domain. Bai Ning bit her lips so hard that it made her bleed. Tell me the place you hid your body. Even if the landscape changed, I will at least have a head start before the enemy makes a move. I won't let them break the seal. Ning'er, it's too dangerous. Heavenly's heart trembled, and he quickly grabbed Bai Ning's hand to stop her. Even if you do manage to learn of my former body's whereabouts, you alone can't do anything. The number of monarchs back then may not be large, but there were many of their subordinates who were close to that level in the past. Those unrestricted by the seal will surely come in force and easily overwhelm you. It will be you up against tens of thousands of foes. Absolute strength was a must in enforcing law and order, but the weak also had their advantages in numbers. It's also the reason why the guy went after the heads instead of the entire body of the beast. 2 years, 7. I can't care about those details. Yin Feng, Yin'er is my life. I can't let her be in danger. Bai Ning's eyes flickered with determination. Besides, you said so yourself. Those monarchs aren't able to leave the domains. If it's just their subordinates, I have full confidence in overcoming any hurdle. I will not let them threaten our daughter. As a mother, the safety of her child always stood at first place. Heavenly tightly held grip around his wife's hand gradually loosened. All right, I can agree to let you go, but I also have a request. You must bring the masters here with you. Bai Ning made a shocked face. But if I do that, then who's going to defend the Heavenly Flame domain? What if the other domains send their forces here to attack? First, the guy smiles proudly. I am my own protection. I do not need others to protect me. If they dare come then, I will make sure they never leave. Secondly, Yin'er is also my life too. I can't allow you to be in danger to protect her in my stead. This is the most I'm willing to compromise. They have been separated for a very long time, so this was the least he could endure. What if the same tragedy occurs because he couldn't leave? If that happens, the guy couldn't even begin to imagine what he would do. Okay. Bai Ning smiled softly as her slender fingers caressed the guy's handsome face. Yin Feng, when I come back, I will bring Yin'er back with Di Song. Go then. Heavenly slowly got up and led the way out of the study. I will send you out of the domain. But afterwards, you must pay attention to your own safety. Meanwhile, within the demon realm, Di Ling, Yin the pipsqueak, sat dully atop of a boulder, her former energetic self long gone due to the past 2 years. Ling Yin, holding a plate of osmanthus cake in his hand, Jean Tion, the little glutton, hurriedly ran over to offer his twin sister the snack. I brought some cake over, try some. Glancing over to the plate of dessert, the girl shook her head at the kind gesture. I don't want any you eat. But, with tears slowly forming around the eyes at the rejection, the brother suddenly found his appetite waning. Ling Yin only knows how to train now. You haven't played with me for a very long time. Also, I made these cakes on my own. I really don't want to eat. Ling Yin jumps off from the boulder and pats her dress. It's getting late. I should go back to training. After saying this, the pipsqueak headed towards the Demon Mountain's peak. Ever since the princess fused with the divine water stone a few years ago, her strength had indeed risen rapidly. And because of this, she's been keeping herself hidden atop of the mountain every day without doing anything else. Sister Song, what happened to my sister? Jean Tian pouted with a sad face and turned to the older girl that came back from the Heavenly Flame domain. Did I do something to make her unhappy? I can change myself if she smiles again. Woman in white wasn't hungry, he said somewhat weakly. Song couldn't help but laugh out loud over that confession. Lowering her body down, she gently pats his head to show it's all right. Finally know you're hungry? Her Highness the Queen won't let you eat too much because she's afraid your stomach cannot bear it. She never mentioned anything about letting you go without food. Hold on, I will take you to find some food. Raising her hand to lift the fox up, the girl's face was all smiles until she shot a glance backward. Song's still worried about her friend the pipsqueak, but there's nothing the girl could do aside from making sure the twins are eating well and sleeping well. At this moment, Bai Yin was still floating in the darkness while being able to hear her son and husband's voices. But no matter how hard the Demon Queen tried, she just couldn't open her eyes. Why? Why can't I move? Why can't I make a sound? If this continues, I might stay like this forever in this vegetative state. No, I can't. I need to get out of here. Ling Yin and Jean Tian is still waiting for us at home. Just when she's desperately trying to move her body, a voice suddenly echoes into her soul and shocks her. You've come. Bai Yan's heart trembled due to not locating the source. Who are you? Suddenly, a white light shot into existence from the darkness and lit up the darkness in her mind. It's a woman wearing a pristinely white dress. She had absolute beauty like Bai Yin herself, but unlike the strong and demanding characteristics of the Demon Queen, this female had more of a flowing river charm that enticed the opposite sex with her gracefulness. Actually, I am you, and you are me. The woman in white slowly came towards her new incarnation and grinned mischievously. Before I entered into the cycle of rebirth, I already foresaw my future. I should have 3 lives before our meeting. From what I can see, you should be my 3rd reincarnation, correct? 3 rebirths? Bai Yin narrowed her eyes and skeptically until she saw the resemblance. During my travels, I have come across a statue of a woman being worshipped by a group of demonic beasts. Is that you displayed in that cave and portrait? The woman in white chuckles at the question. Yes and no. I am indeed that woman you saw in those depictions, but not this version you see before yourself. That life didn't meet my demand in talent or intellect, nor did the second life that came afterward. Then came you. You see, I foresaw our future and knew what could happen, so I made arrangements. A humph. I'm starting to ramble here. I'll get to the point. Technically, that is me, but also you in all aspects. Woman in white, too. Therefore, the figures inscribed on those statues should not be me, but you. The woman's words echoed over and over again in Bai Yan's head. Like a thunderclap, the explosion causes the Demon Queen to lose the ability to think. Are you me? Bai Yan was stunned and continued to ask, do you have a vendetta against the demon realm? The woman in white turned to face Bai Yan, softly chuckled. Demon realm? You're talking about the demon clans, right? Now the demon clan has changed its name to Demon Realm. I do have a vendetta against the demons. No, wait, it should be said, this is a war between humans and demons. It doesn't matter, these things have nothing to do with me anymore. I have long ceased to exist in this world. All you see here is but a remnant of my soul left behind to help you ascend to the level of a true celestial. True celestial? Bai Yin sneered and curved her lips sarcastically. Since you were so powerful then, why did you fall? The woman in white made a stunned face over the question before turning embarrassed. The reason will be clear to you in the future, and it is not convenient for me to say it for the time being. Bai Yin saw the other who didn't want to tell the truth, so she didn't dig deeper. After a muse, she continues, then tell me what this place is and why did you leave a remnant of your soul here? This space is a special pocket in reality frozen in stasis. It doesn't matter how long or who stays here, your age will never change. Let's say a baby comes inside. They will remain a baby in its infancy stage even after 1,000 years. There will be no changes to their physical body, which is the reason why I used it to house myself. If it's any other place, you think this fragment of ourselves would survive this long? I would have disappeared long ago and be unable to meet you. The woman in white sighed softly. Perhaps the time had rubbed the edge off of her soul, but this woman in white didn't have the sharp edge that the statues portrayed inside the cave and portrait. Instead, there's peace and serenity between those eyes. Then how do I reach the true celestial rank? Bai Yin went straight for the problem after getting the gist of things. She's no longer so calm anymore because something just clicked in her head. What if the demon chief who planted that peach blossom forest is Di Tsong's older incarnation? I got reborn 3 times already according to this soul fragment. What are the odds that Di Tsong followed me as well by entering the life cycle? Bai Yin had a lot of questions about this matter still. For example, why did this woman in white want to step on top of the demon clans of old when the demon chief clearly loved her dearly, like how Di Tsong loves her in this life? You will still need to work hard to reach the true celestial stage. However, I don't have much strength left, at most able to help you reach the middle level of the Divine Lord stage. The rest will be up to you. The woman in white paused for a moment and continued. After you reach the peak level of the Divine Lord stage, you will need to acquire an external force for help. There's this red flaming bead. If you can attain this item, your body will naturally find its way to a breakthrough. Flaming bead? Bai Yin made a stunned face because the name immediately brought her to the thought of Di Ling Yan's condition. There's a flaming bead inside her daughter's heart. As for here, you don't have to worry. I will use the last of my strength to help you shatter the restraint. Don't blame me for taking so long to come. Although time has stopped in this pocket of reality, but its territory is very large, and that's how hard it was to find you despite my efforts. Woman in white 3, hold on. Bai Yin presses for information regarding the flaming bead after seeing the other her disappearing. Unfortunately, the woman in white had already returned to a globe of light after her words and shot into her body. In the darkness, Di Tsong had been hugging Bai Yan's body with an iron grasp during the whole time. He's worried she would disappear from his world if he lost a single strand of hair from his wife. Suddenly, a ray of light emanated from within the woman's body, instantly turning into a pillar of light and pouring upwards to illuminate the darkness. Father, Bai Xiaochen nervously grabbed Bai Yan's sleeve and asked, "What's happening?" Mother, Di Tsong frowned and didn't respond. Instead, his sight locked onto the woman's body over the changes. Lower Divine Lord, Middle Divine Lord. The forced breakthroughs directly allowed Bai Yin to reach the middle level of the Divine Lord stage, as per that soul fragment said. Di Tsong, Xiaochen, fluttering her eyelids, the demon queen's consciousness slowly comes to and saw the 2 males that she so dearly loved. Subsequently, Bai Yin didn't wait and raised that pair of arms to wrap around the man's neck, letting their body and warmth to mingle together. Yinner, you're back. Di Tsong's large hand gently wrapped around her back to comfort both himself and his wife. These days, he could sense Bai Yan's presence, but that doesn't mean the ordeal wasn't any less stressful. Mother, the steam bun flew into a yippee jump of joy and threw himself at his mother's tummy. What happened before? How come you didn't answer me when I called? You scared me to death, Mother. I heard everything you were saying, Xiaochen. It's just that I couldn't respond to you before. Bai Yin apologetically caressed her son's head because she understood how much worry she had caused. While the family was having their well-deserved reunion, the light had grown so strong that it had encompassed every corner within the visible view. Clack! A crisp cracking sound abruptly interrupted their hug and caught the family's attention. Bai Yan's heart tightened and quickly wrapped her arms around the steam bun's body before scanning the area vigilantly. It's at this point that her expression froze in shock. Reason? The snowy white sky overhead had started to shatter with veins forming in all directions. In a mere 15 minutes, the crack had expanded to the level of allowing some of the broken shards above to fall. Then, only then could they see the crisp blueness that they are so familiar with. Mother, Bai Xiaqin's small little mouth made a big round shape. Can we finally leave? Uh-huh. Bai Yin softly confirms the idea by gently nodding. Unfortunately, we don't have a concept of time here. Who knows how much time had transpired outside? Maybe 100 years have already passed for your siblings. Bai Yan's heart shook with horror at the idea. She didn't want to believe that was possible, but it was a possibility she couldn't ignore. Bai Xiaqin was equally as stunned by her words. Then quickly looking up to face his mother's gaze. Mother, what do you mean by that? How come I can't understand? Without hesitation, the Demon Queen went into great detail on what her previous incarnation had told her about this world and herself. She did not withhold any information. Woman in white for Bai Xiaqin's small face instantly turned white as soon as she said that. Mother, father, what if 100 years had passed? Wouldn't that make Ling Yin older than me? Will I have to call her my big sister instead? What if a thug comes along and snatch her away by taking advantage of my young age? The thought of little fart coming along and stealing his sister from right under his nose immediately unsettled the steam bun. He couldn't accept that. Let's go back and see. Bai Yin also had a worried face. Who knows? We might have only been gone for a few months. Really? Bai Xiaqin nearly started crying due to the nervousness he had inside. Will Ling Yin still run up to me and call me big brother? Will Jean Tian still cluelessly do as I say? Let's leave. Bai Yin did not answer Bai Xiaqin's words further due to how grim she felt inside as well. How could I have let Ling Yin and Jean Tian alone for so long? What kind of life did they have if that much time did pass? I'm a terrible mother. Don't worry. Di Tsong placed an arm around his wife's shoulder and smiled reassuringly. You need to have more confidence in yourself, Yenner. We would never have stayed here for that long. Sure enough, that managed to warm the lady's heart somewhat. I hope so. Otherwise, I won't be able to bear the consequences of abandoning those my darlings. Finally able to follow his parents' conversation, Bai Xiaqin sniffs and holds back his own tears to act confidently. That's right, Mother. Me and Father never would have allowed us to stay here for that long. Let's go home. I also miss everyone. Maybe Dragoni and Auntie are home as well and waiting for us. Okay, let's go home, the place where everyone is. That said, Bai Yin looked up to the familiar blue sky and felt a flame of hope burning within herself again. The Celestial Realm. Outside the Celestial Palace, a dense crowd of invaders had descended from the void and come before the main gate. The few guards who remained to defend this palace were naturally frightened at the massive force gathered at their doorstep, especially when they managed to grasp the enemy's power, which was far beyond their own. You people, who are you? The most veteran of the defenders stepped forward despite his own nervousness. He's having trouble keeping a firm grip on the sword with his shaky hands. Leave none alive. The old man leading the invasion force coldly orders, not batting an eyelash over the question. Under the dark clouds, blood stained the walls of the sacred grounds of the palace, eliminating all life that once dwelled here and echoing a scream of terror in the air. Elderine, Heavenly Flame's body, should be inside the altar here. A young-looking spy stepped over and respectfully reports. According to the information we've gathered, these people do not know what's hidden under there, so no one had ever disturbed the coffin. Elder Een sneered in contempt at the few defenders who are still resisting. These people are foolish indeed. They had such a treasure right under their feet and never knew it. Finish them quickly. We will head inside first. Yes, Elder. With that order, the rest of the assaulting force promptly streamed into the palace, slaying everyone and everything in sight. It didn't matter if the residents were children or women. None got spared on this tragic day. Heavenly's body, 1. The altar of the Celestial Palace was considered the most mysterious place in all of the Celestial Realm. In fact, not even the keepers themselves knew what this sacred spot meant to the world. All they knew was that because of the altar's existence, the Celestial Palace was able to grow by leaps and bound to become the #1 power. Deep in the altar, an ancient coffin similar to a sarcophagus of the Western style laid there silently. It's giving off the impression of those resting tombs hidden in those old catacombs under a church. However, Unlike the decrepit state that one would expect of something old, this one had been sealed tight with no room for air to seep in. Apparently, no one had ever thought to open it since its inception, despite the constant stream of energy radiating out from the surface. "Open it. We will destroy Heavenly's body." Elder Ian waved his hand and commanded in a cold voice. "Yes, Elder." After hearing this, the spy in charge of information gathering stepped over and slammed down with his fist. It made a loud impact, but the sarcophagus remains intact and spotless. Elder Ian frowned at this sight. "Get out of the way, I'll do it myself." The spy hurriedly gave way, afraid his hesitation would enrage the old senior. Unlike the youth who couldn't make a dent, Elder Ian was someone much stronger in terms of power. By gathering all of his energy into the palm, the very air around the room had warped when smashing down. Despite the incredible force, the results were the same, albeit with a heavier tremor in the room. Nothing's changed. "It seems even I can't open this coffin with my strength." Elder Ian smugly smirked. "Everyone who is at the demi-divine lord level come assist me. We must pry open this thing." "Yes, Elder." Without delay, all of the masters who came to participate in this invasion had stepped over and surrounded the coffin. Elder Ian took a deep breath before making a solemn expression. "Okay, let's start now. The plan is to converge all of our power onto one point and make a breakthrough. The seal will naturally shatter once a hole is made. He must determine whether the corpse inside was Heavenly Flame's body." At this moment, all of the demi-divine lords began gathering their powers onto a single point in the middle of the sarcophagus. It's suffocating for anyone unable to bear this heavy atmosphere, forcing the subordinates to flee the room before they die under this weight. Boom! A loud roar resounded across the sky, and the lid, which had been firmly immobile, was finally overturned under their assault. There the man silently slumbering there, handsome, yet proud in his contour. Indeed, this was a man of high stature without doubt, just that he's been dead for who knows how long based on that pale complexion. There's no mistake, this body is indeed Heavenly's. Elder Yin's pupil tightly sharpened on that face and grinned darkly upon confirming the features. If his body gets destroyed, does that mean the seal around the domains is gone? Another mutters without directing it to anyone. Does that mean the conquest of the main worlds is upon us? Perhaps it's the wonderful image of their future, but some of the demi-divine lords were already laughing wildly like some evil villain from those typical movies. They had been staying inside the Frost domain for who knows how long. They've long grown tired of such a life. Now the time to conquer and taste the fruit was upon them. So how could they not be happy? Heavenly's body, too. Elder Ian bellied out a cocky laugh at the grand future awaiting their forces. "Move aside, all of you. I will destroy Heavenly's body right now, and the seal blocking the monarch's return to this world will come undone." The corners of his lips drew a devilish grin as he stared down at the corpse in the coffin. Then, with a flick of his palm, a flame materializes into existence in preparation for his attack. However, right as the reddish flame was about to touch the clothes, a figure suddenly breaks through the fabric of reality and slices down to get in between him and the body. "Who are you?" Elder Yin's expression flew into a rage as he yelled at the interloper. This woman's strength is at the peak of the demi-divine lord level, and just a step away from being a divine lord like the monarchs as well. "I won't win if I fight her here alone. I am Heavenly's wife, and you wanted to destroy my husband's body from his previous life without my consent?" The woman's shallow smile and disdainful glare swept across the group. Heavenly's wife? The faces of Elder Ian and his subordinates all got very ugly. They had heard rumors that Heavenly already had a wife before this, but they didn't expect the woman to be so strong. "Girl, your strength is very strong, I admit that. Unfortunately, you only have those from the Heavenly Flame domain to back you up, while we have multiple forces at our beck and call. You think you can overcome us all today? Don't be ridiculous." The old man sneered, and his eyes were full of contempt. "I advise you to step aside and go back to your husband. Otherwise, don't blame us for not showing mercy and pity against a woman. The fact that I came today means I have no intentions of going back empty-handed. I can leave, but that's only with my husband's body. Bai Ning smiled indifferently as she made her stance. Elder Een narrowed his eyes as he went over his options. I have already given you a chance, but you did not cherish it, so don't blame us. Even Heavenly could not stop all of the domains by himself. What do you think you can do with only that much ability? As Elder Een spoke, countless noises could faintly be heard coming from the far-off horizon, which quickly came close enough to show the massive army gathered for this invasion. Yin Feng was right. They brought a massive army with them. Even so, I won't back down. Madam, everyone who came with Bai Ning from the Heavenly Flame domain quickly gathered around the lady's location, their stance circling into a defensive position with the lady at center. We will deal with these people. You leave with the monarch's body first. Bai Ning shook her head to refute the idea. That's not possible. I won't be able to escape on my own. Don't worry about me. I am Heavenly's wife. I have a duty to protect my husband's body from the previous life. Heavenly's body, 3, due to how densely populated the sky had become like a flock of crows flying in the air. All of the normal denizens closest to the epicenter were looking up towards the celestial palace with fear and uncertainty of what the future holds. Because of this, Keeper Yellow and his brothers didn't need to look very far to know what's happening. On top of that, the immense pressure could reach them all the way back in the mountains where they were hiding. What's going on? Why are there so many demi-divine lords over at the Celestial Palace's direction? Keeper Yellow's expression got deathly white due to the fears circulating within his heart. It's likely those bastards from the domains. Keeper Yellow, how long are we going to keep hiding here like this? If those people want to hunt us, then that's fine. We can always move to a new spot. But they're slaughtering the entire celestial realm. We can't keep being cowards like this while everyone dies. One of the keepers cried tears of blood at the scene. Keeper Yellow felt just as bad. Ever since they lost Keeper Ling and Keeper Zun that day outside the city, the group has become dispirited and lost on the next path forward. Let's go back to the Celestial Palace. Keeper Yellow grits his teeth fiercely and finally made the decision. We absolutely cannot let the celestial realm fall today. Even if we die, we will die fighting. I've done so many wrong things in the past. I can't cower now when the crisis is upon us. Otherwise, what was the point of us existing up to this point? After having similar thoughts, the keepers all charged out of the mountain in which they had lived for the past few years. It's now or never, and they choose to fight. When arrived outside the palace, a scene of carnage welcomed their eyes. Bodies, blood, organs, it's truly a scene out of hell itself. It seems those bastards did attack the Celestial Palace. They slaughtered everyone, women and children alike. Closing his eyes, Keeper Yellow makes a pained face due to not coming earlier and allowing this carnage to occur. Go! We will confront the enemy. Without wasting time, these old seniors that oversaw the safety of the celestial realm for all these years stepped through the main gates for the inner sanctums. They're determined and would gladly sacrifice themselves as brave warriors. Bloodstained altar. More and more enemies were swooping down from the sky and attacking Bai Ning after she arrived on the scene earlier. She's exhausted after fighting alone for so long. But whenever her body was ready to collapse from depletion, the images of her husband and daughter would always reinvigorate her spirit for another swing. This was the scene that Keeper Yellow and the others saw after they arrived. It's bloody with bodies skewered along the ground. You bastards! How dare you lot defile the Celestial Palace's altar? At the beginning, the Celestial Palace never was this powerful and stood at the very top. Rather, it was a member of their order that accidentally came across the ancient coffin and discovered training beside. It would exponentially increase one's cultivation speed. Heavenly's body, for it was precisely because of the existence of the ancient coffin that brought the great fortune to the Celestial Palace. So, it doesn't take much to imagine the anger erupting from his heart after seeing someone destroyed their faith. Hold on, Keeper Yellow. One of the keepers grabbed the senior and shook his head. Don't you see that woman Bai Ning is also here? We don't know who destroyed the altar, so let's wait and see. Humph. Keeper Yellow promptly breaks away that hand and grumpily replied, "No matter who it is that destroyed the altar, we must first deal with those from the domains. How many innocent civilians died at their hands? How many families were destroyed because of them? Besides, if Bai Ning wanted to destroy the altar, then she could have done so long ago when she attacked the Celestial Palace. Why do it now, before so many foes?" It must be said, for all the mistakes he made in the past, Keeper Yellow finally made a smart choice for once. After he dropped these words, his figure had already disappeared in a flash and landed in front of Bai Ning's location. Raising an eyebrow at the sudden interruption, Bai Ning skeptical examines the person before recognizing who it was. "It's you? You're done being a coward now? What are you doing here?" Turning to face the woman, the keeper's figure appeared so weak and frail as that yellowish robe fluttered with the wind. "Lady Bai Ning, I know that you do not want to see any of us from the Celestial Palace, but for now, I hope you can put aside our difference and work together to confront these enemies. It's our only chance." Bai Ning did not speak for a good while, her gaze quickly scanning back and forth between the two forces. "Ha!" Elder Een sneered humorously. "No matter how many people comes today, the ending will be the same, with Heavenly's body destruction. No one can stop us." Keeper Yellow's expression grew fierce and ferocious after hearing that. "I knew it. It's you bastards who ruined the faith of the Celestial Palace. I will never let you go." Without delay, the senior jumped and rushed at the enemy leader who had just spoken. Not to be caught off guard, Elder Yin's hand was already in wait as he grinned triumphantly. He's been waiting for this moment after deliberately provoking the keeper. With a gush of energy blade shot out from his palm, Yin got a direct hit into the other person's body. Yet, instead of the expected collapse and blood-splattering hole, Keeper Yellow endures the damage and regains his momentum in the next second to come before Elder Yin's face. He's a damn cockroach in how durable that body behaves. "You're also from the Heavenly Flame domain?" Elder Een dodged the retaliatory blow and quickly slipped to the side. "No." Keeper Yellow's attack did not stop. "I am a member of the Celestial Palace, the ones you slaughtered like cattle here today. I will never let you bastards off the hook for what you've done." "Ha ha ha." Elder Een laughed wildly. "Just with you? You are no more than a mid-level demi-divine lord. Why would you think you can overcome our forces? You're no more than an ant in my eye. Pitiful insect." Boom. This time, Elder Een did not hold back and unleashed a barrage of punches with his fist, landing blow after blow on a Keeper Yellow's chest. Finally unable to take it, the old keeper spurted out a mouthful of blood and turned deathly pale. "Lady Bai Ning, although we have had a dispute in the past, but this time, can I ask you for a favor?" He wiped the blood from the corners of his mouth, turned to face the woman behind himself. He's praying for her to accept his request. Bai Ning was stunned for a bit before stopping her own attack to face the swaying old man. What favor? Endless darkness, too. Bai Yin did not know how long she had been floating in the darkness. The only thing this demon queen wanted to do was open her eyes in desperation. Sadly, she couldn't. In fact, the lady couldn't even open her mouth to make squeak. "No, I must not give up. I can't let Di Tsong and Shachin worry about me like this." Thinking of this, Bai Yin clenched her hands into a ball until the pain gradually cleared her muddled state. She still couldn't speak or see, but having a clearer mind was better than nothing. "Yenner, can you hear us?" A man's muffled voice drifts over. "Yes, I can hear you clearly." Bai Yin tried to shout out several times, but the voice only resonated in her heart and not outward. "Yenner, whether you can hear us or not, me and Shachin will be by your side, so don't worry. I will find a way to leave this darkness. No one could trap us." Di Tsong hugged her again, embracing that body so the woman wouldn't have the faintest chance of slipping away into the darkness. With a flutter of her eyelashes due to the physical contact, Bai Yin stopped struggling to open her eyes there. She may not be able to see him, but the intimacy was all the warmth she needed. Somewhere off in the bushes, Willow was covered in blood as she leaned against a tree trunk she found after her self-destructive act. "In the end, I brought the destruction of the Hell Domain with my own hands. I let my anger swallow me. But it's okay. Even if I don't control a domain anymore and suffer for it, I can still rebuild. There's the demon realm. One day, I will make all of demonkind submit to me. Sure. Sure, Fu. Mo Xen Yin was shivering in a corner right now. Though afraid, the girl understood the only reason she's alive was that the monarch spared herself. Otherwise, she would never have escaped the fate that had befallen everyone else. Willow slowly opened her eyes at that voice, the gaze indifferent and cold, while watching Mo Xen Yin and Heart whom she spared. Compared with Mo Xen Yan's trembling appearance, Heart's was relatively calm for the situation. In fact, the old, ignorant, and innocent appearance was long gone, replaced by a squirming child that buried her head against the knee like she's locked herself off from the rest of the world. Mo Xen Yin, do you know you're wrong? Willow asked indifferently. Plop. Mo Xen Yin was so frightened that she immediately kneeled before the monarch, her face pale and panicking. Sure, Fu, I know my fault. Please forgive me for being ignorant and stupid. Slowly getting up with that condescending gaze, Willow sneered a smirk at the girl's cowardice. I said it before that you are not allowed to have ideas about him. To think you not only went after him, you also betrayed me for him? Endless darkness. 3. Mo Xen's sweat flowed without resistance along her forehead as the lady bit that pale lip. Sure, Fu. I didn't want to betray you. I just didn't want you to kill him. I was afraid that Shifu will regret it. Slowly closing her eyes, she waited a good while before opening them again after mustering up the courage in her voice. In my mind, Shifu is like a mother, someone I hold dear. Yes, I admit I like Deet Song, but I only regard him as a father figure and didn't want him to die. That's all. Even now, Mo Xen Yin did not dare to admit her thoughts aloud for fear of retribution. Willow sneered and smugly smirked at the lying student. I don't care what you think or what your excuse is. From here on forward, you and Heart will only serve me. If I find out you violated my orders again, the consequences won't be so easy anymore, you understand? At this moment, Mo Xen Yin couldn't take her eyes off of that furious flame burning within the monarch's gaze. It's soul-piercing, sending her whole existence cowering with the head hanging low. Yes, sure, Fu. Your disciple understands. Get up. Willow waves her hand and forcibly dragged Mo Xen up. Mo Xen Yin, do you want to know where they all went? Willow narrowed her eyes at the sorry excuse of a disciple she had and asked this aloud, shaking the head without daring to look up. Your disciple don't want to know. Ha ha. Willow's smugness grew even bigger as she continued. The place where I pulled Heart from is a space where time stands still. In fact, it is the path separating the Hell Domain and the Demon Realm. I don't have any command over it, because it belongs to a powerful person from ancient times. That individual used to have a connection with the Demon Realm and knew my father at one point. The more she spoke, the more entranced the monarch seems to be by her past memories. It's because of that connection that I overheard his conversation with my father. I learned of that space's existence and built the Hell Domain behind it, preventing anyone from crossing over unless they want to be trapped inside. Stopping to gaze up into the pure, blue sky, Willow's eyes flickered with the light of remembrance and emotion. Then later, I by pure chance found a book left by that person. There were a lot of knowledge inside the texts, including the way to manipulate the space and turn it into a passage of ice and fire like you know today. It embodied my hatred for humanity. I thought that by doing so, I would be able to prevent the woman from coming to my domain in the future, but I didn't expect her to come anyways. Willow's cackling voice didn't carry any sinister note to it, but somehow it made Mo Xen Yin even more afraid than earlier. Xen Yin, tell me, what's so bad about your Shifu here? Why did Deet Song always refuse me? It was as so before, and it is the same now, but no matter, I don't care anymore. If he won't accept me, then I won't let them have it any better, either. Willow's momentum instantly transformed after that statement, turning cold and murderous. The time inside there is a static, never changing and unmoving. They can't cultivate or leave, forever drifting in the darkness until they rot from within. Sure, Fu. Wouldn't your decision be the same as letting them be together forever? Endless darkness, for so what? Willow mutely cackled and freaked the other side some more. They're in that place, which is equivalent to being isolated for eternity. Even if Bai Yin is still by his side, he can no longer interact with her anymore. Shifu, please don't say more. I don't want to know anymore. Looking down at the ground, the Mo Xinyin found her soul losing itself under this depressing reality. It's nothing like how she imagined her world to be. The Shifu she idolized was an evil villain, and the bond they built up was nothing but a fragile glass that's been shattered. Almost everything thus far was a charade, an act that had no foundation. No, you should know. Willow flicked a finger to push her disciple's chin back up so their eyes would meet, because if you betray me again in the future, your place will be with them inside that darkness. I will have you drift endlessly in that state, never to step outside again. That warning instantly got the girl's attention, and not in the good way. Forever drifting in the dark? This feeling, it's even more painful than killing me. Of course, Willow continues to grin with teeth baring, but unlike before, her hands were brushing the girl's hair like petting an animal. It's unnerving like an evil witch watching her victim. If you are obedient and behave, I can overlook your past deeds. Mo Xinyin gulped out of reflex over that statement. She's still extremely pale in the face and afraid, but the aching desire to know one out in the end. Shifu, don't you like Deetsong a lot? Why are you willing to let him stay there in that place? Willow narrowed her eyes in a snakish manner, examining the girl up and down with a new light before bursting out a laugh. Have you forgotten what I said to Deetsong and Bai Yin? I said I would never let them see each other again. That space is only a temporary cell for Deetsong. Once I recuperate my wounds and increase my powers again, I forcibly rip him from his wife's grasp. At that point, it will only be Bai Yin and that stinking brat left drifting for eternity. She couldn't give up on Deetsong. That kind of man, how could she ever erase him from her soul? So, the only course of action left was to chain the man in a temporary cell. When she has the confidence and power to do as she please, Willow would begin to move again and take what's hers. Shifu, Mo Xinyin pursed her lips until it hurts. I will not disobey you again. The girl's ashamed to admit it, but she's a coward. In front of her Shifu's terrifying stare, she simply didn't have any strength to resist. Not far away, Hart has been keeping her head down the entire time during the conversation. She's still traumatized from the stuff said by Mo Xinyin about Willow. As such, the grief and sadness has overtaken the innocence in this poor child. She did nothing wrong in this life and never harmed a soul, but her existence was unloved and unwanted, just like an expendable object. Hart, come here. Willow's eyes glanced slightly to the side and frowned after seeing how pitiful-looking the child was behaving. Hart stiffened at first, but then gradually loosened up before standing up. Step by step, she came before the monarch, the woman that's supposed to be her mother. Demon Realm, one, mother. Hart's voice sounded dead and unemotional as she stared into Willow's gaze, displeased by the way her daughter spoke. You also heard what I said to Xinyin. I will not permit betrayal. If you do, I won't let you off either. That statement brought more hurt to Hart's soul after already being traumatized. She wanted to be consoled, but it's nothing but pain. In the end, her entire body carried a shadow looming over it like some dark being has taken root. Willow abruptly coughs out blood from her mouth there, right as she's about to say more. Shifu, Mo Xinyin's expression went pale at that sight. Quickly running up to the monarch, an undisguised level of worry appeared in the girl's eye. Shifu, what's wrong? Your injury must not be healed yet. Sit down and rest first. I will go explore around while you do so. Dropping this, Mo Xinyin turned around and wanted to leave. It's just that before the girl could move, Willow's voice had come again like a banshee's whisper. Not necessary. I'll be able to recover after a break, and then we'll get out of here together. She didn't trust Mo Xinyin anymore, so letting the girl out of her sight was not permissible. Willow smugly smirked as she took a seat next to the old tree used by her own daughter. She may say a brief rest was enough, but the red stains on her clothes clearly said otherwise. On top of that, the bright burning sun was no friend of theirs either. Then have a good rest, Shifu. Shout for me if you need anything. I will be by your side. Mo Xanyan's tone sounded concerned, but instantly changed back to harsh rudeness when shifting to Heart's depressing figure. What are you still sitting around for? Don't you see Shifu is injured? Hurry and get over here and see if you can do anything. At this moment, she seems to have forgotten the horror that Heart had initially brought to her and returned to the usual bullying demeanor. Heart lifelessly did as told and stepped over without so much as a peep. She's looking so depressing that it's hard for Willow to put up with now that they're like this. Don't assume the monarch would suddenly have a change of heart after Mo Xinyan's betrayal. She understood this disciple of hers never once faked the concern shown thus far. It's just that she didn't want Deetsong to die, hence the betrayal. In contrast, her own biological daughter Heart was much colder and even dumb to some extent in not showing any emotional concern for her own injury. This was also why Willow didn't leave Mo Xinyan behind. At the very least, she needs an extra hand to help run errands during this period, which Heart wouldn't be able to do. Heart, Willow's tightly furrowed forehead loosens up after a sigh. Although Xin did something wrong before, but I am willing to give her a second chance since she's capable of understanding her own fault. You need to learn from her in this regard. Heart was stunned at the lecture as she stammered for a response. Mother, okay, you don't have to say anything more. Willow's voice lost any of the tenderness she had from yesterday and grew impatient. Go over there and stand watch. I need to spend this period healing my wounds, so don't let anyone or any animal to come disturb me. Demon Realm, too, okay. Heart didn't say more and returned to the spot where she was sitting before. This time she did not hang her head down, but instead began surveying the surrounding environment as told. Demon Realm. Di Ling Yin sat on the edge of the demon mountain with her chin propped against her own hands, those eyes bored and longing. Suzaku, when will my mother and father come back? Now that even big brother is gone, it's only me and second brother left. The four sacred beasts were all standing behind the baby princess and became emotionally sad over her question. There's hardly any life around the palace as of late, so it's no wonder the atmosphere was depressing. Princess Suzaku, the red, flaming lady, squatted down and gently hugged the baby's body. You don't have to worry. Mistress and His Majesty will return soon, and your big brother, the Crown Prince, already left to bring them home. It won't be long until that day comes. The consoling words didn't work. Instead of making the baby girl peach up, she hung her head again between her legs like a depressed child. Suzaku, don't lie to me. The place where my mother and father went must be very dangerous for them to not return. I know they're risking their lives for me. If only I didn't have the flame bead inside my body. In this way, neither father nor mother would go to such a place. Tears slowly trickled down that cheek at the thought, causing Di Ling Yan's body to shrink further into a clump of sadness. Little princess, don't you believe in your family? The young-looking teen, that was little Rice the white tiger, walked up to the girl's side and patted her shoulder. I have been following mistress and young master from the beginning. Never have I seen them fail or suffer any losses. This time will be no different, I promise you that. Looking up with a weeping face, I believe in my family, but I still feel uncomfortable inside, like they won't come back. If it wasn't for that feeling in her heart, Di Ling Yin wouldn't be so sad, since it's always been like this for the baby princess. Whenever a bad omen occurs, bad things happens not long after. Suzaku, little Rice, Black Turtle, Tsingy, can you take me to find my mother? I also want to go to where they are. The Phoenix lady's heart ached with immense pain at that request. Princess, please be good. You are still too young to go anywhere. It's not the time for you to encroach on such a journey. Little Rice also wanted to say something after that miserable plea. However, he stopped after taking notice to the flash of light shooting over from the distance. Emoli Shang. Little Rice widens his eyes at the sight of the young man that appeared. He still had a great impression of this person who they picked up below the medicine sect that day. Normally, it would be a great occasion for the reunion, but this timing and location was leaving him on a wary note. Why? Did he come to the demon realm? Unlike White Tiger's perplexed thought, Suzaku's reaction was much more powerful. She's locked onto Mo Li Shang's figure and clenched that face in a manner of someone on high alert. Demon Realm 3. Black Turtle, what's wrong with you? Between the entrance and the reaction of the others, Sing Yi the Azure Dragon had unintentionally taken a glance to the guy who's holding his head tightly in the rear. His look was full of pain, as if some memory had been lost, unable to be recalled. Boom! Suddenly, a powerful internal explosion rocked Black Turtle's head, sending him into a stumble as he loses his balance from the shock. Then looking up, that gaze fell upon Mo Li Shang's figure that made him wrinkle his brow. He's trembling all over due to the sense of familiarity he got from a series of pictures flooding into his mind. At first the scenes were vague and unrecognizable, but gradually they became clearer with each passing second. A blood-colored battlefield with two opposing forces fighting. It's here that Black Turtle stood. Sword after sword, corpse after corpse. He slayed the foes that crossed his path until a river of blood stained the dirt. He was unstoppable in this flicker of the past. However, right when he thought the battle was coming to an end in his favor, a sword suddenly thrusts in his back and out the chest. He couldn't believe this outcome, right when he's about to overcome the ordeal. Slowly turning his head to see who dares, Black Turtle's view landed on the teenager's face whom he trusted all along. Why? Would it be him? Demon Mountain. The teenager had slowly descended to the ground by this point and stood before Suzaku. This is something Yin Yin asked me to bring to you. In the palm of the teen's hand was a blue stone that emitted a faint glow. Suzaku quivered in the lips at the recognition of this object. Her throat wanted to make a sound, but a rock had lumped itself into the vocals stop any words to come through. Suzaku, Black Turtle, what's wrong with the both of you? Little Rice scratched the back of his head and asked in a confused manner, Do you know Mo Li Shang? No matter how blind one was, even the Tiger Boy could feel the awkward and eerie atmosphere in the air. Abruptly and out of the blue, Black Turtle attacked. Mo Li Shang did not resist, nor did he try in the slightest at the impending punch to his chest. This resulted in a critical blow, blasting right into his soul to cause incredible damage. Blood slowly trickled down the corner of that lip. I'm going to kill you. Black Turtle saw red, the killing intent pouring out of those eyes as his aura enveloped the entire mountain. Suzaku was stunned by this abrupt turn of event and swiftly recalled something in the past. It's back when Black Turtle first returned to their side. The man had confided in her the reason for his death in the past, and that was a betrayal of an acquaintance they knew. Unfortunately, couldn't remember who exactly this person was, so the subject was dropped for a while until today. Mo Li Shang, did you do it? Her fists clenched into a ball, and an indescribable anger surged from the chest as she narrowed the gap between her face and the lad's. Did you kill Black Turtle back then? Little Rice instantly turned dumbfounded at what he heard. Mo Li Shang killed Black Turtle? How can this be? Mo Li Shang can be considered the younger brother of the mistress. If she learns of the murderer being him, what will mistress do? I'm not going to hurt her. Demon Realm 4. Moments later, Mo Li Shang finally raised his pale face to meet Suzaku's accusing stare. I wouldn't hurt her. I would never hurt her. Ha ha! Suzaku laughed wildly, her voice filled with madness and anger. You said that you would not hurt mistress, but you killed Black Turtle, and he is someone precious to her. So what difference is there? Her anger had already surged out of her chest, leaving her with nothing but rage at the young teen. I can't say anything now, but know that I would never hurt her, never. That said, Mo Li Shang lowers his line of sight in a manner of someone constrained. Mo Li Shang. Little Rice's handsome face grew ferocious with his fangs extending out of his mouth. He wants to rip the guy apart after learning of the deception. I will only ask you this one time. Is what Suzaku said true? Did you really kill Black Turtle back then? Silence, and that's all the answer the tiger needed. Ha ha! Little Rice laughs wildly, the joy devoid from his voice. You claim to have lost all your memory when mistress found you along the road, so you were deceiving us right from the beginning, and now you claim to be on her side still. Closing his eyes, A surge of regret filled the tiger's heart for being so foolish. If Mistress and Little Master finds out, they will definitely be heartbroken. Mistress trusts you so much. Why do you treat her like this? I don't believe it. You couldn't have appeared before her without purpose in the first place. You killed Black Turtle once, and that's equivalent to hurting Mistress. Us four will never forgive you. Mo Li Shang's body visibly shuddered, watching the hateful eyes shot in his way. The young man's complexion grew extremely white, for he knows the future holds nothing but pain. I'm only here to give you the divine water stone on Yin Yan's behalf. Shut up, Little Rice roars. You are not qualified to call my mistress by her name, nor are you qualified to have her trust. If I had known you betrayed her in the past, then I would have done everything to stop you from approaching us. Visibly hurt from that statement, Mo Li Shang didn't back down and met the tiger boy's gaze with his own pure and untainted eyes. I didn't betray her, and I didn't take advantage of her. Little Rice sneered over that remark, not believing the other guy in the slightest. Sing Yi, the Azure Dragon, finally grasped the situation by now. She's the one with the least information among the four of them, so her hostility didn't quite show yet. But now, the dragoness was brewing up a storm around her figure. I just came to deliver the divine water stone. Mo Li Shang walked closer towards Shizuku and placed the stone in the lady's palm. I promised Yin Yin to pass this onto your hand. It can help Ling Yin. That's why he came, even if it meant exposing the past. For a promise to that woman, this young man won't regret it. Though resentful, Suzaku didn't reject the water stone. She knows all too well the importance of this item to the princess. Heartache. Suzaku had great difficulty in keeping the stone from dropping out of her hand. It's not that the thing's heavy, but what it implied for taking it. A gift from an enemy, a traitor, that's what makes it so heavy. Mo Li Shang, since you're done with your task, you can scram now. When Mistress returns, I will let her know what you've done and settle the account with you. Today's demon realm could hardly be called peaceful. If the four of them must engage in a battle with this man, it's unlikely they could come out on top. What's more, the most important thing wasn't revenge, but the protection of the remaining royal family members. That meant Jin Tian and Ling Yin, who had no ability of their own. Mo Li Shang didn't utter a single word of defense for himself from beginning to end, but the way he spoke and the way he moved said there's another side to the story. Okay. That said, he didn't look back and begun floating towards the blood-colored sky. Wait. Suddenly, a crisp bell-like chime came from the rear, making the guy stop mid-flight. Di Ling Yin had walked over after hearing their conversation. Princess. Suzaku and the others were terrified at this and reached out, wanting to pull the girl back to their side. However, the pure and untainted eyes from the princess stopped them. It's too innocent and without darkness that the four didn't know how to react. Are you really not going to hurt Mother? Di Ling Yan's smile was hopeful and without doubt when asking. Floating there for a good moment before he spoke, the guy's voice was equally as pure and kind. I will never hurt her. Then have you seen my father and mother? The smile gradually disappears from the princess as her face grew frustrated. I miss them so much. When will they come back? Mo Li Shang's heart instantly ached with pain after hearing this saddening plea. Slowly closing his eyes, he recalls back to the moment where he saw that family being devoured by the darkness in the Hell Domain. They'll be back soon. After half a ring, he leans down and pats the child's head in a reassuring manner. Of course, this was done under the wary gaze of the four sacred beasts. If he had so much given a flicker of intent to hurt the princess, then they would have attacked and separated the two in an instant. Pouting in her little face, the pipsqueak didn't buy it. Uncle, you are deceiving Ling Yin. I'm not stupid. I can sense Mother and Father is at a very distant place. I'm scared they will not be able to come back for a long time. Mo Li Shang didn't know what he could say in this situation. The girl hit the bullseye with that guess. Uncle, can you tell me where Mother went? Suzaku and the others won't let me go find them. Mo Li Shang smiled slightly. They went to a place called the Hell Domain. Mo Li Shang. Suzaku's face changed. I shouldn't have let the princess touch this bastard. And this bastard actually revealed where. Bai Yin went. What the princess, she? Thinking of this, Suzaku felt flustered and wanted to stop the guy. But what Mo Li Shang said next stunned everyone in their tracks. So, unfortunately, the Hell Domain is gone now, and your father and mother has gone to a whole new place that even I don't know of. But don't worry, I'm sure they will return very soon.